Narco Longo. Brought to you by the Florida Department of Magic. Welcome to Florida, baby. Florida is the original Garden of Eden. Florida has the highest concentration of freshwater springs in the world. Florida oranges are the golden apples of mythology. A race of giant men once roamed this peninsula. The Smithsonian can suck my balls. Florida is littered with many ancient megalithic ship anchors, known as sacks or steamers.
Howdy, everybody. Hope everyone's doing good tonight. Hope everyone's safe. Got to sort my layout here. Give me 1 second. Too small. Whatever, that works. Now let's get the other way. Oh my God. Oh, here we go. There we go. Okay, boom. We're in it. We're ready to go. Hope everyone's safe out there. Hope the hurricane didn't do too much damage to where you are. We were pretty safe, pretty secure. Didn't really get touched much here on the southeast coast of Florida, Palm Beach County. Didn't really come our way, but it was stormy. Right, it was gray. The wind was churning, but nothing too serious over here. Of course, the damage was more severe over on the west coast, the Gulf Coast of Florida, and I know a lot of our viewers are over there. So, hope everyone's safe. Hope everyone's secure. You'll be able to call in tonight if we have any drastic lost dog, lost people scenarios. Maybe you can get the word out here or something. But yeah, we're gonna just go through some of the stories. Spencer from Florida is gonna be popping in a little bit, and yeah, so let us know in the chat how you fared. Let us know about the damage. Call in. The link is right there on screen if you want to call in with your experiences or story, opinions, observations. Spencer's definitely going to be going deep on some of the potential weather modification angles, right? That's always a factor. But this one got started very quick. And yeah, whatever. Hurricane Helene. Someone saying in the chat that there was a Helene 66 years ago. I haven't checked on that. Maybe it was a Helen or Helene. But one of the places that I grew up, I know is particularly hit hard. Steinhatchee, Florida. Steinhatchee. Spelt like Stein, Stein, which, by the way, shout out to my most recent Hidden Jewish History of Florida and Ancient America. Go check out that recent video. I should have put Steinhatchee in that video for having the word Steinhatchee. Come on. If you're trying to prove a connection between Native Americans, Native Floridians, and modern day Jewish people, that'd be a good way to do it. Right? So I didn't really think about that till after the video, but that's just another very Jewish, Hebrew sounding word. And yeah, it's German, Swedish, whatever, but still. We'll let everyone file in here. Usher the people in. Speaking of Usher, who's been keeping up with this whole Diddy stuff? We're gonna end up talking about that, of course. Hop on the bandwagon, hop on the hot topic. But maybe in a few days we'll talk about Diddy, because of course he's, I believe, a Florida resident, primary residence. Could be wrong. But so yeah, peeps. What else is there? Yeah, we're going to talk about the Native American blessing that's believed to protect Tampa Bay and the surrounding areas from hurricanes. Not all of them, but most of them. And the numbers seem to not lie on that, right? Seem to indicate that. If you look at the path of all the hurricanes in the last 100 years or however long we've been keeping track. I've got a video on that too. So Safety Harbor, there's a couple conflicting reports, stories about where this blessing comes from, but most of them revolve around Tampa Bay. There's a belief that Tampa Bay is protected against hurricanes. Now, there's Safety Harbor, which is on the eastern side, and then there's Sarasota, a little south of Tampa Bay. Now, everyone from, I think, Venice up to Tarpon Springs likes to claim a piece of that legend, like a piece of that blessing, the Native American Indian blessing that keeps the hurricanes away. But most of them, the ones that you can back up with the most evidence, if any, would be the Safety Harbor Mound. The Safety Harbor Mounds, to me, is what I think is the real energy center there. Not the only one, but the major one. That was, I believe, a Tocobaga capital. Tocobaga Indians. Very tall people. They had this kind of connection with storm gods. Tampa is used to refer to lightning strikes. Tampa, the word Tampa. So Tampa means flashes of light or sticks of fire, something like that. And of course, that would have to do with the thunder god. And then, yeah, you guys like the shirt? Here, let me put my real microphone on. Boom. That's a little better. Should sound a little better now. But welcome, everybody. Talking about Hurricane Helene here. And catching everybody up on this Native American blessing that is believed to protect Tampa Bay. Specifically, the Safety Harbor. I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, Safety Harbor Mound Complex. And that over there, yeah, I'll let you guys see the shirt a little better. There we go. Yep. As long as those are still open. So basically, here, let me get us caught up. Boom. We're golden. The Tocobaga Indians lived in the Tampa Bay area when the Spanish showed up in the 1500s. There was a couple clashes with the Tocobaga, but they were generally perceived as peaceful, gentle giants, right? They were also very, they didn't eat as much meat as the other natives around them. They didn't rely on hunting as much, even, like big game and stuff like that. They were big on their fruits, herbs, their breads, and the things they crafted up. But they were one of the few people in Florida that we know had the papaya. We know they had the papaya, I believe, from what I've read. So I wasn't there. Right, I wasn't there. But we know the papaya. They actually only found out recently that papaya was in Florida. And I think the Tocobaga had it in their burials, papaya seeds and papaya stuff. So the Tocobaga were especially religious, it's also said. They were one of the few cultures that was still using their mound complexes kind of to its fullest capacity. Tampa Bay was considered. I've got this one article that I can pull up. Not a disinfo article, a real, Florida archaeologist, not pushing an agenda. He's kind of saying the opposite. Why don't people talk about Tampa Bay more? Tampa Bay, he argues, was America's most populated city. That it was a metropolis. That it was one of North America's few metropolises in ancient times. So when the Spanish showed up to the Tampa Bay area, they encountered the Tocobaga. That was one of the people, but they dominated the Tampa Bay area. So during one of these, landing parties or kind of, just voyages exploring the Florida coast before it was settled, they were trying to settle it. Panfilo Narvaez or de Narvaez, Panfilo de Narvaez, I think his name was. He led a party up to Tampa Bay, and his party, a couple hundred men, went up around the Gulf. They go around the Gulf. They run into some trouble. Lots of hostile Indians. They're fighting just about the whole way. It's said that they weren't being too friendly themselves. They might have been deserving some of the trouble. But essentially, they ended up in bad shape. And only 4 men, it's said, of those couple hundred or so, only 4 men survived and escaped to Mexico. Well, while that was all happening, while there was this whole kind of mystery, there's, the Spanish didn't know where that expedition had ended up. Because while it was happening, the couple hundred Spanish who had landed, right, they have no way of communicating. They got cut off from their ships. They never regrouped with the ships that dropped them off. So they never, they didn't have radio or telephone or even doves there and then. So they got cut off and they just wandered around the Gulf of Mexico, and only 4 or so survived. Cabeza de Vaca, yes, you guys are right. Cabeza de Vaca. His real name was Alvar Nunez, I believe. Alvar Nunez Cabeza de Vaca, which means head of the cow. Right? Cow's head. So while this is all going on, you've got this kind of harrowing journey around the Gulf of Mexico. Some of the first few people to explore inland America too. This few group of wanderers, they were considered miracle workers. This is actually one of the most interesting stories about Florida, is that some of the first people to go and land there, officially during the Age of Discovery, the Tocobaga, when the Spanish landed there, they encountered the Tocobaga, and then boom, they went onward and around the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, well, the few who survived, the 4 who survived, they were drifting and wandering, and they were enslaved for a period after they shipwrecked near Texas. And they made rafts, they made homemade boats, and then shipwrecked in Texas. And then they are enslaved and they're released and traded, and they're in the middle of conflicts and wars and all this stuff, and there's no other Europeans around. They're cut off. They have to learn the native languages. Eventually they kind of earn a reputation as being respectable people, and they are in the habit of praying all the time. They kind of leave their fate up to Jesus. One of these guys is black, by the way. And Estevanico is his name. Estevanico the Moor. So yeah, only 4 guys or so ends up surviving. And as they travel around closer to like the Mississippi River and across and westward, they start becoming like shamans, like traveling, not shamans really, but divining a little bit, prophesying, but mainly healing. They're kind of doing like Christian folk healings, where they're praying in these new words the natives had never heard before. They're invoking this God of all gods, King of all kings, that these people had never heard of. Well, it must have been effective. Apparently, all the lands they went to, they either brought peace. These few Europeans and one black man, one more named Estevanico, as they were wandering through the Gulf of Mexico and up around closer to the Mississippi and around towards the southwest of the United States. They ended up in Mexico, by the way. So that's the path that they're taking. They encounter all these people and they do these blessings and healings, and they're considered miracle workers. And they're, donning a cross and they're fashioning crosses everywhere they go. And some of the following expeditions would find cities filled with crosses. And they thought these people had never met a Christian before. Well, it only took 4 Christians wandering through the Gulf of Mexico for many of these cities to pretty much convert to Christianity, or what they, their idea of Christianity, because these blessings were working. They either brought peace everywhere they went, or healed people, or brought good weather. That was another one. A lot of conquistadors were considered weather bringers, weathermen, weather, forecasters, considered by the natives to have powers to tell the weather. So all of this is kind of, you can see, I hope you can see where I'm going with this, the origins of these native blessings around Tampa Bay kind of start with the earliest expeditions there. There was good acts being committed on either side, despite the whole conquistador genocide narrative. These were real people, and their religions were kind of being showcased alongside each other's. And as much as it was like a conquering of land, it was a conquering of the spirit and the soul in a good way. But so, Spence, are you in here? Where are you at, Spence? So, these 4 Europeans, Cabeza de Vaca, a couple others, are walking around. They're performing these blessings, healings, bringing good weather, bringing peace between warring tribes, and they're getting handed off kind of between the tribes in good faith. There's more to the story. I'm, glossing over a lot. But they end up making it to Mexico. One of those guys ends up telling his, famous account, Cabeza de Vaca. He tells this whole story. It's a truly remarkable story. And yeah, cool story. Well, then I'll tell you what happens. While all that was going on, while Cabeza de Vaca was wandering the southeast United States, then the southwest United States, then makes it to Mexico. The Spanish are still looking for them. The Spanish are still looking for them near Tampa Bay. And one of the people that they send ashore, or sorry, they're going close to Tampa Bay, and they see natives there. According to some of the accounts, the natives had a cross planted on the beach, or they had a book planted on the beach, or they had a letter planted on the beach on a stick. But they left something on the beach to kind of invite the Europeans in. And as a boat drew near to Tampa Bay, the wife of one of the missing party, I believe, that might be the next expedition that I'm confusing it with, but regardless, while the Narvaez expedition was lost around the Gulf of Mexico, then you have these other group of Spanish ships approaching Tampa Bay, and they see something on the beach that's kind of inviting them in. Either a letter, a cross, or a book, a Bible, or something. And then the natives are waving them in as they get closer, waving them in. Well, it just so happens that the Narvaez expedition, Panfilo de Narvaez, he's kind of remembered as kind of villainous. Not entirely, but he's generally seen as kind of one of the rougher conquistadors, less gentlemanly. But he was tall guy. But when he's depicted, you see him kind of with a scruffier, more snarly face. And who knows? Maybe that's because the expedition largely failed. But basically, another search party comes up to Tampa Bay to try and locate the Narvaez expedition. They're still looking around Florida, where they dropped them off, where they last saw them. They see this figure on the beach, kind of this object. They see the Indians waving them in, and some people say that they were waving items, that belonged to Europeans, kind of baiting them in. You'll see what I mean. Well, it's decided there's a debate on the ship whether they should sail in, because that's always dangerous, right? They didn't know these harbors well, or these inlets. There was a debate whether they would sail right up to the beach as close as they could get and kind of just do an all-out landing, or whether they would send just a small landing party on boats up to the beach, or whether they're going to just sail away. It's a trap. Don't do it. Show me a European. If you want us to land, show us what. If you have a helmet, we need to see the living man, right? Or if you have a sword belonging to them, or if you have a cross, we need to see. They always had to be weary. They knew the Spaniards had been clashing with tribes already. So they were always weary. Well, it's decided, kind of out of an argument, it's decided they're going to send a smaller boat, kind of a landing craft, with a few men up to the beach to determine their intentions, to determine if they're going to be friendly, if they have information on the Narvaez expedition. They need information. So they decided it was worth the risk, right? They're looking for 100 missing men, 200 missing men. And yeah, they could have, just shot cannons into the village and just, right, reconnaissance by fire, the American way. But no, they played it safe. They were a little naive. They were trusting of the natives. They go in towards Tampa Bay, and they land what's generally said to be Tocobaga territory. This small handful of men, some say it was only 2 men, Some say it was 4 or 5, right? Well, here, look who we got here. Spence, how you doing, man?
Hey guys, how's my audio? I got a little mic on here. Is it working?
You sound good. Maybe even a little loud, but you guys out there tell us how we sound.
Yeah, if it's too loud, let me know, guys. I'm on a new, what do you say, lavalier mic?
Oh yeah, that's good.
What's cracking?
That's good for you.
Hey guys, dude, here's my favorite, here's my favorite goober is this chat right here. Well, you guys, are we on the Native American prayers,
Yes.
blessings, if you will? How strong do we feel about them, Longo? How strong do you feel about them, Longy?
I think there's something about it, whether it's just the elevation, just the plain fact that there's more elevation over there. It's more of a wall, it's less of a easy ramp for a storm to come up on.
Sure.
Whatever it is, the warm water, the fact that it's a big body of water inland might steer things away, right? It's more likely to just trace the coast.
I tend to get confused when it comes to the blessings, because it's like, okay, were the hurricanes generally not hitting here, and why, physics wise? Because then you get into modification stuff and it's like, oh, they're not going to have a direct hit on MacDill. So we've got MacDill Air Force Base right there, and we've also got the port, and the port's extremely valuable. And
Good
so
point.
I know that there's NextRad towers lined up everywhere. And if anybody knows what NextRad are, they utilize basically electrostatics and all types of tactics to make sure things don't hit things that are valuable. So imagine you had something like a port that's extremely valuable. If someone were to try to destroy Fort Economics, you would blast it, right? Maybe we'll turn off the electrostatics, our next rads, and there's going to be a lot of people that hate on that comment, but we can go over that. But let's go back to where you were at. Sorry, I came in hot.
That's all right. You're all safe though. You fared all good through the storm.
Yeah, man. Being on the porch of the barn house is sketchy in a hurricane. You've been there, but I sat outside with a 3-legged dog and just waited for shit to start flying. No flooding. Our bamboo and all of our trees soaks everything up. We don't flood in my yard. We got enough to soak it up. We're good. We're good where I'm at, guys. I'm north of Tampa, and I'm inland. So when he talks about Tampa having this, like, so you guys know I'm northeast of Tampa. I'm like sitting in this perfect slot to where we don't get hit head on. So does that make sense? Like, so if it's not hitting Tampa, it's technically not hitting me head on. Only one, Charlie, was this hurricane intense, the size of like a county, came through and went right through town one year. And I was in the middle of it. It was scary as hell, but I was on the golf course skimboarding and I literally picked up my skimboard after like 100-yard skim, and I go, whoom, and it yanked up like 300 feet in the air. My skimboard went into the next neighborhood.
So, hey, your screens are all good?
All of them.
Well, hey, you put those up yourself, didn't you?
I did.
That's pretty dang good work, man. That's as good as an advertisement as you'll get. Just tell that story.
I'll send you a video. It looks stupid. They're whistling the whole night.
Yeah, but are you still doing that professionally?
No.
Screens? Well,
No.
whatever. You did a good job when you were doing it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I did pool cages for like a decade. And my mom and brother still engineer. My family did aluminum. So basically every pool cage you see from down south up into Gainesville, my brother engineers still. Hundreds of contractors. That's what I drew on AutoCAD for many years too. All the aluminum that gets blown away in hurricanes.
We got Drone Daddy 305 with the 999.
Mr. Worldwide.
Enjoy that super sticker, bro. SS. CFH_90 with the 10 Australian dollars, or what is that?
What is that?
Australian? Who knows? But The French and Germans have both been doing cloud seeding operations in the middle of the Pacific, generating these storms hitting the eastern U.S. Election interruption. Love from Australia. Appreciate it. Okay, Australian currency. Appreciate that.
Great comment.
Pantera. Hell yeah. Cowboys from Hell logo. Killer. So we got some Australian money in the bank. We're just gonna call it a night. I mean, that's that's all we needed at this point. What's up, my dingo? But yeah, we're gonna be talking about cloud seeding. Let me get this native blessing story, this boring native blessing story over with,
It's not boring.
so that no, that's okay. I know it's not. Got a great video on it. If you guys want to check that out, all the details are on there. I'm probably a little fuzzy now, but the origins go very early. Go up to the earliest Spanish expeditions to the Tampa Bay area is kind of the foundation for this native blessing. So while the Narvaez expedition is missing, they send this search party in to Tampa Bay. On that search party is a man named Juan Ortiz. Juan Ortiz.
Juan.
Yep, Juan Ortiz. Juan Ortiz is one of the few brave men who decides to go on the landing party to go look for the Narvaez expedition. He's one of the few brave men who decides, I'm going to go up to the shore, right? We don't know what these Indians are about. There's pretty much no record of whether they're nice or mean. They just need to go and figure it out. So they go up on shore. They get in this little boat, smaller, wooden boat, almost like a life raft. And they go up, and it's a small landing party, maybe 5 men at most. Some people say it was only 2 men. But these 5 men, let's just call it 4, okay? 4 men land on the shores near Tampa Bay in Tocobaga territory. The Tocobaga, they come to find out, even though the Tocobaga would be remembered as kind of peaceful, they were pretty vindictive. They were revengeful too. And it turns out this landing party was walking into a trap. They were sailing into a trap. So they land on the shore and they're immediately seized, grabbed. And the people who grabbed them were very tall. There's no, overpowering these guys. And they were kind of making a show of peace. So they didn't have their weapons out. They didn't have their cannons backing them up. And they get seized by the Tocobaga or Timucua speaking Timucua language group Indians.
Rightfully so.
And it turns out they were pissed off because the Narvaez expedition had been through there before and committed some bad things, had done some not so great things to some of the women. It's said that someone might have cut off someone's nose. That
classic.
As a show of kind of punishment, one of the leaders of the Tocobaga had his nose chopped off.
That's worldwide. That isn't that an older practice? The nose off the sculptures, Sphinx and all that stuff.
And then also, apparently, one of the chief's female relatives was fed to a dog by the Narvaez expedition. So this was a blood feud, and this landing party had no idea of the offenses that had been committed prior. Whoa. They sailed right in expecting friendship. They were seized, and one of them, it said, was killed right there, killed on the spot. Then they brought the captives up, who didn't put up much of a fight. they seize them, secure them, tie them up, whatever, put them in a cage, guard them. Now, shortly after, they're put through a game. Who's seen Apocalypto? The movie Apocalypto. You ever seen that, Spence?
No, is it like you mean like Squid Games?
Mel Gibson. It's kind of like Squid Games, yeah. It's a Mel Gibson movie, I think, where it's
I like his
Maya. It's like a Maya, close to the Maya, maybe a fictionalized version of the Maya. And it's around the time of European arrival. It follows this group that's taken prisoner by the Maya, maybe the Aztec, but it's definitely the Maya, or one of these Mesoamerican groups. And it's they get imprisoned, they're about to be sacrificed, then an eclipse happens, so they're kind of saved, but they still have the prisoners. Then they decide to just kind of unalive them for sport. To do it in a more sporty and less ceremonial way. So they bring him kind of out back to the play fields, the ball courts, and they execute them in a more sporty fashion, more like target practice.
Jeez.
They make the prisoners line up and run down a ball court. And they are, running one by one, I think, mostly, or two by two. But they're running down this field, and then they all line up with their arrows and their atlatls and kind of slingshots and everything else they got. And they just unload on them or do target practice. So that scene from that movie, I don't know how much the Maya did of that, or whatever tribe or nation that's supposed to be. But we do know he might have taken that. If the Maya weren't doing it, we know that it was definitely recorded pretty much the same style of execution. This kind of sport, this game, that the Florida Indians were doing that. And they did this to Juan Ortiz and his friends, the men that had been captured on the shore near Tampa Bay. So they make them line up. I think it was one by one. And Juan Ortiz, I don't think he did it the first time, but he was there watching. And they executed at least one of his, his shipmates with this game, target practice. Exactly.
I wonder if there needs to be a fair chance. I wonder if there's any honor in this game. So it's like the fair chance concept. It's like, okay, no, you have a chance to run. Doink.
Yeah, take the stage for a sec, Spence. I got to send a message.
All right, you guys know what I'm saying? Like, so he was basically describing this game with the natives and how they were slaughtering, but it's like, what if there was actual? You got to let them go. Like consent wise. So as long as they're running, you're giving them a fighting chance. What's up, everybody? Keep someone alive to tell this story. What do you guys think? Do you guys think there's more physics involved or more technology and electrostatics protecting Tampa? Or do you guys think it's more of a old world location physics and blessings type thing that's protecting the area? Or do you guys think it's freaking Big Brother? That's what I want to know. Where are we leaning? Where are we leaning towards? There's a crazy part of the movie that's their child getting mended with the heads of ants, the bite, the wound, and then they pull their heads off. Huh. I can almost comprehend that. Dick Cheney plays this game with all the people he invites hunting. Hey, we've heard about those hunting trips. Oh, man. They do it with the bow and arrow. It is symbolic and partially, in my opinion.
Good point. It is similar to like the Illuminati hunting rituals. I've heard some of them say, have you heard this, where it's not just like victims that they choose, that they do this to each other. Oof. It's like a survival of the fittest, that at like a certain age, you have to get chased through the woods. And if you make it out, you earned yourself, like another 15 years.
Oh my
If
god.
if you fall and get caught, they manufacture your natural death.
When I was a kid, we had to read and test on Most Dangerous Game. It was part of the curriculum. So it's not like they wanted that concept to be foreign to me in public school. They portrayed it in they went pheasant hunting and Wedding Crashers, their buddy.
Oh, good point. Yes. Shooting one of the party. But hey, I have a story. My dad actually had been shot twice in his life. You know that?
Oh gosh.
My dad, when he was younger, maybe my age or younger, in his 20s, he was hunting either quail or some bird where you're kind of creeping through the woods, not just sitting. So I think it was quail or something else, but they were armed with shotguns with birdshot,
Yep.
which is just like a pepper, So if you're far away, it really can't kill you. If you're a far enough distance away, it won't kill you. It can.
I am
It
very
can almost
familiar
kill
with
you.
what that feels like. I know exactly what it feels like, unfortunately.
Oh wow. So my dad actually got shot by an elderly man who was also hunting with a shotgun, and he got peppered. So from a good distance away, far enough to where you can't tell it's a human, but it's like a shower, right? It's a lot of small BBs in a shotgun. So my dad got shot. He got peppered all up and down his body, but mainly his face.
Oh,
They went into his mouth. They got stopped on his teeth. He already had fake teeth at that point because all of them got kicked out on a swing set when he was younger.
oh my gosh, dude.
So he already had veneers, but he got shot through the lips, through the all around the face, and his safety glasses shattered into his eyes.
Oh my!
And they had to pull these little splinters out of his eyes, and he was pretty much okay, but he did get shot in the face.
What was the second type of projectile?
The second one was by the police. It was a rubber bullet, probably out of a shotgun.
Oh shit! Oh shit! That escalated quickly.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But, that was a little bit of a misunderstanding too, but I guess they were both shotguns.
His dad was a vegan activist too. He took one for the team.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
I was walking. So we used to shoot over a swamp. We would shoot clays, right? But there was this house across the swamp, and I was going to the house to go get some more beer. And, you can hear the shots behind us, and then out of nowhere, perfect opening. My buddy and I just get absolutely sprayed on the back of our heads. I had a couple sticking in the back of my neck. But the one time I legitimately got shot at was by a crazy guy. We were on four-wheelers, same property, same place, crossing pastures through someone's yard we shouldn't have. We knew he was crazy. Guy stands on his front porch and just freaking nails us right in the backs with a shotgun, with birdshot, thank God, not buckshot.
Wow.
Birdshot and buckshot are the difference between life and death in this
situation. Oh, yeah. But you got peppered?
Oh, yeah. Guy nailed me on a moving four-wheeler, like just.
How many times? So, like, what part of your body?
My whole back. My whole back. Just perfect. Like, dumbest thing I've ever done in my life was drive through his yard.
You had to pick him out of your skin?
No, not all of them. Only a couple.
Yeah.
The bare spots, back of my arms had them in, back of my neck. Freaking redneck on his porch got me.
Yeah. Well, I can't one up you on that. Never been shot at. But I have had the barrel of a gun stuck up to the back of my head twice.
Oh my gosh, dude. Can we go back to weather? How's the weather?
Yeah, Yeah, native blessings. And
That is intense, dude.
so
I don't want
they,
to get one up. I don't want to
Yeah.
get one up anymore.
Toko Baga sees Juan Ortiz. Okay? They take Juan Ortiz and they slay one of his friends. They slaughter another one of his friends in kind of this, apocalypto game where they're making him run back and forth in the ball court. And they're not done with that game, by the way. Then Juan Ortiz. Is scheduled for another execution, right? He gets spared from this first execution because the game was too violent for the women in the tribe. And one of the chief's family, a princess or queen, it's usually remembered as a princess. The princess tells the men to stop and commands that they stop. And, the women had a lot of say in that society, actually. So they halt this execution. The men had enough fun. They call it a day. And they start kind of just finding more slavely tasks for these Europeans to do. Well, they kind of get antsy, and there's only one or two of them left. And they decide that they're going to execute them again. I think it's just Juan Ortiz alive by now. All his other companions have been taken out. And now he's scheduled to get burnt alive on a ceremonial altar, sacrificial altar. They were going to burn him alive, cook him alive.
Dang, dude.
Barbecue him. It's actually where we get the word barbecue. It's exactly what they constructed to cook him. They would put their bodies on what's called a barbecue, like a funeral pyre, sometimes just to keep them away from animals. But in this instance, they're going to burn him as a sacrificial victim. Well, the women caught wind of that too, and this one native princess had a liking. She was kind of having a lot of empathy, sympathizing with Juan Ortiz, the last surviving, remember. So he was going to get barbecued alive. Apparently, he did get barbecued alive, and she halted that. She put her foot down right as it was happening and said, "No more." So they pull him off the barbecue. He's burnt. Apparently, he's badly burnt, and she tends to his wounds. The women tend to his wounds. Very, very, Now, some of you might be saying, well, I've heard a little bit of this story, or maybe you've heard me tell the story before. Well, guess what, guys? This is actually Pocahontas. Juan Ortiz getting saved by the native princess.
Oh, yeah.
This would be plagiarized by John Smith, the dubious John Smith, who might even be entirely fake person.
The name's fake.
It's Agent Smith, John Smith,
Blacksmith, Goldsmith.
Now he
Smith.
he heard this story. He was in Jamestown in 1607. His first John Smith, his first account of being in Jamestown, his first written record. He made no mention of being saved by Pocahontas. No mention of being saved by Pocahontas, right? Well, a couple of years later, 1609 or so, right after he comes home from Jamestown, he already puts out one account. He reads the newly translated into English account of Juan Ortiz. This is how the story goes. This is real, by the way, not a conspiracy theory. We know this is true.
Oh, real plagiarism. True plagiarism.
It truly is, yeah. John Smith stole the story of a native princess saving him from Tampa Bay, Florida. Not only was that part of the story taken, but the original cultivation the first European cultivation of tobacco, was also, that part of the story was also usurped away. Florida held that title of Spaniards coming there and learning tobacco first, and cultivating it in large quantities and shipping it back home. And Tampa Bay has always been the tobacco capital of the Americas, believe it or not. It's true. People always think it's Cuba. People always think it's Nicaragua. No, it's always been Tampa Bay in ancient times. So you have this second story. Remember, I told the Narvaez story, and that one kind of fed into this story. But now you have Juan Ortiz. He's been saved twice by this native princess. It's said that her name was Hirihigua. Some say her name was Eulalie, but her dad's name was probably, we're almost certain, her dad's name, the main chief, was Chief Hirihigua. So she might have been known as Princess Hirihigua. Her name might have been Eulalie, but that's unconfirmed. I wasn't there.
We've got a restaurant probably underwater in Tampa right now called Eulalie.
Yes, that is a very cool restaurant chain.
I love that spot.
It's the same chain as the Columbia.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Longo, check your audio.
Yeah.
Chicka dum dum. Yeah, chicka boom boom.
Yeah.
Room. There he is.
Me?
Yep.
All right, my bad.
It's all right. We be mixing,
We was DJs and shit.
In ancient times.
Tampa Bay. Talking about Ybor City. You ever heard Shane Gillis talk about Ybor City?
Who's Shane Gillis? No.
Pretty funny.
I've been in the tunnels though.
He's like this comedian with a learning disability.
Oh no, I like it already.
So basically, Tampa Bay. Shout out to those restaurants, by the way. Eulalie's is named and opened in honor of this whole story, by the way. So that guy knows what's up. The owner and the guy who runs the Columbia restaurant, a Spanish restaurant in Ybor City, and that chain of restaurants, Eulalie. He fought with the city to put a statue of Eulalie over there near kind of the boardwalk, the Riverwalk, and the city kept taking it down and removed it. And they got into a fight over it. But he's done a lot for the city. That place is really cool. I love going over there when I'm in Tampa Bay area. They have good food. They have good vegetarian options. You want to steer clear of the Adreno slop. So, yeah.
Dude.
Hurricane blessing. You've got Juan Ortiz. He's been saved twice. Okay, well, come to find out, they're planning to execute him again. So the native princess, Eulalie, or Hirihigua, she says, okay, well, now I need to help him escape because they're just going to keep trying to, set him on fire or something like that. Barbecue him alive, slow roast him, turn him into barbacoa at Chipotle. And they're getting their fires ready. They're gonna, sacrifice him on an altar or something like that. And he gets let out in the middle of the night. She arranges his escape. She makes sure that he gets received well at the neighboring village, which did not have this blood feud with the Spanish. So he was safe there. The princess also, she was planning to get married to the leader or one of the leading men of that village that she sent him to. Well, it's kind of unclear whether she loved him or not, but she was moved by some compassion. He fell in love with her. Of course, she saved his life. She was good looking. It said she was one of the best looking women in the world,
Okay.
according to some people who tell this story.
Okay.
And he falls in love with her and tells her, run away with me. And she's like, Cracker, I'm a queen up there. Cracker, I'm a queen.
Where you gonna
you
take
know,
me? Where you gonna take me? Better than
Yeah.
here.
You gonna take me to Red Lobster? You gonna take me to? He professes her love, and she's like, "Nah, I have it pretty good over here, but I'm gonna set you up in the neighboring village. My man is over there; he's in charge." And then she goes, "Okay, see you later. Have a nice life. We can't continue on. I don't love you back." A lot of emotion going back and forth, but Juan Ortiz runs away, runs off to the neighboring village. He's received well there. They give him like a passcode to prove, he's the one that they're looking for. Well, that princess, I think, the way that it's told, that marriage ended up getting canceled or delayed significantly. So basically, basically, that romance kind of fizzled out, and he was in love with her but never got to have her. He actually ends up becoming best friends with the man that she was betrothed to, but I don't think that marriage ended up happening. I could be wrong on that, but it's kind of like not a tragedy but a heartache story. And I told both those stories because the Indian blessing that applies to Tampa Bay, a big component of it was that it's a blessing that was left by the natives or the native gods, native priests, or Princess Eulalie herself, according to some of the stories, in kind of a blessing to the new coming people. That there was almost this prophecy that there would be a new people who would come, who would disturb a lot of things, but their way of life would ultimately be more peaceful and more pleasing to the gods. And that's what a lot of the Florida Indians ended up conceding, is saying, well, if you triumphed over us, then the gods must have been in your favor, right? So they were kind of at peace with it towards the end. Not entirely, right? Still bad blood. But Juan Ortiz, this one story, is kind of looked at as a foundation and origin for this hurricane legend blessing. And a lot of people ask, well, if it's a native Indian blessing, why does it apply to the people who live here now? These good acts between the native Floridians and these earliest European explorers, and like I told earlier, the party that was traveling through the Southeast United States from the earlier expedition and made it over to the Southwest and to Mexico. Those few survivors, Cabeza de Vaca, Estevanico, and that small party, who had a rough journey, they were considered miracle workers. So some people trace this Indian legend back to them, that those earliest Christian miracles being performed in the native lands of Florida, that's what kind of sparked this native blessing, this mending of bad blood between the natives and the Europeans. But who knows? There's not as many natives living there today. But those who point to the blessing as protecting against hurricanes point to the Narvaez expedition and then the Juan Ortiz story. Remember, Juan Ortiz would end up living something like 7 years, 8 years, a long time, if not more. Because in 1537 or 1538, 1539, the De Soto expedition would come through Tampa Bay and recover Juan Ortiz. So they recover Juan Ortiz. Juan Ortiz gets to tell this amazing story, this tragic story, somewhat. And then that gets recorded. That goes over to England, gets translated into English around 1600 something.
He couldn't shut up. His heart was so broke. He couldn't shut up.
John Smith ends up reading that story. We know that he came across it, was in the vicinity of its early English translations, and then completely hijacked the story, completely plagiarized the princess saving him story, wrote it into the Pocahontas thing.
That sounds more like an American government, take over a Rockefeller indoctrination propaganda piece than, oh, he took it and plagiarized it. So you think it was actually John Smith character plagiarized, yada, yada? Or do you think this was just a plug into our curriculum? So we didn't get the real story.
I think Juan Ortiz had his legacy taken away. The English wanted to undermine all the Spanish achievements in America, right? This America needed to be an English undertaking, an English endeavor, an English land.
That makes complete sense.
All this kind of Spanish glory in Florida couldn't be propped up, right? So they just rewrote it as an English story, and it did pretty well. Disney bid on to it pretty freaking hard, even though Disney is right next to Tampa, just about. What do they have to do with Virginia and Jamestown? And by the way, the English in Jamestown ended up cannibalizing each other. They don't tell you that in the Pocahontas movie. They don't tell you she was something like less than 10 years old. They don't tell you that, she was prepubescent during this alleged romance, which is probably fictional, thank God. But John Smith, Agent Smith, Jane Doe, John Doe. John Smith is what I think of. It's also just the English, version of Juan Ortiz. Juan Ortiz is kind of like your John Smith in Spanish. So that's one of the origins of this blessing, is that either Cabeza de Vaca did so many miracles in his path through America that left such a good impression on, the native religion, and Tampa Bay being his landing point, that's why the blessing kind of revolves around Tampa Bay. Some say that it was the good acts, the good deeds done by the princess Eulalie or Hirahigua, who started that blessing. Some say it was, down in Sarasota, kind of with the whole Siesta Key blessing, that those go hand in hand. There's also an altar over in Tarpon Springs that has two faces carved onto it. Some people think that is kind of the energy vortex that pushes the storms away, the force field. And so there's a lot of variations of why this blessing is there, but it's generally, the theme is that it's a native blessing kind of for the group that would come in and move and protect them from the storms, or just Tampa Bay, as a geological feature, as a geographic feature, just itself is protected.
I have a feeling it was physically and geographically protected naturally, and they knew this, and it was always like a place that you would bless and have prayer and like a safe haven, if you will, for them. Seems like they would bless a place that was already blessed by God, and it would become a part of their safe haven is the word I want to use.
So
that carries over into my I don't know if I've ever told you this. I was talking about this with Topher once on text or private messages, that I don't think rain dances are bullshit. Have I ever gone over that with you?
Sure.
I have.
Well, no, I've heard that. Yeah, that they're legitimate weather modification.
Why do you think that they could possibly be legitimate?
Well, lighting a big enough fire can affect the weather. Usually those kind of powwows dance parties would have a fire in the middle, right? They're usually spinning in one direction. They're churning the fire. Friction goes a long way. Breathing, a lot people, we've got a little store here. You put 10 people in this store, the temperature goes up.
Yeah.
We've had almost 100 people in the store, this tiny little store, the night that we opened. It was like 100 degrees in here. So
Yeah.
breath goes a long way. Cows affect the weather. And I'm not one of these climate change people, but people don't understand. The weather people kind of do a good job of making you think you're so far removed from the weather.
Yeah.
You don't know anything. You can't affect the weather whatsoever. You're such a little ant on the tiny little bottom of this terrarium. You have no influence on the weather whatsoever. We, with our mighty, machines and apparatus, with the planes that fly into the storms, we're barely understanding the weather. No, I totally believe that 10 people setting their mind to it can change the weather. I truly believe that. And if you've got a little device to assist you, I've seen cloudbusters work.
I've seen them work too. The boys in Clearwater have them that work. I mean, I've seen the vinegar work in a burning. Topher was burning vinegar in a freaking firing barrel, like boiling a firing barrel full of vinegar. So I just want to throw this out there for everybody. Imagine you have your TP fire and then you have your flame, and they're going around this. So what you have is you have a vortex. See how we have a vortex right here on the screen? We have a vortex going vertically. What we have is a bunch of natives creating that vortex around a heating element, just like a distiller has a heating element, and it comes up and it goes through a hole, and then there's a coil and there's a fan on top that cools the coil, and then you have distilled water that comes out of a distiller. Well, your fire is your heating element and the distiller. Rainwater is distilled water, guys. When they do that vortex, they're kicking up dust. This is carbon. This is negatively charged particles are going up the flat earthers electrostatic gradient to the positively charged ions. When negative meets positive, and you've got the carbon dust particles that have been vortexed up into a specific location, and it hits, what do we have? We have a storm. And so if you think that that's bullshit, no way. Dream catchers aren't bullshit either. Dream catchers are literally flower of life mandalas, and usually, Fibonacci sequence stuff with what's hanging, snail shells, feathers. What do they make it out of? Some sort of silk, or what are the old real dream catchers actually made out of, and why are they there? They're catching spirits and energy. They're catching spirits and energy, and they're hanging above their head, and they're literally clearing the air and energy above the baby's head. That's the whole point of a dream catcher. So freaking rain dances aren't bullshit. Dream catchers aren't bullshit. It's all very simple physics once it hits you. And like someone like Topher would explain it in detail. I can just eat mushrooms and just enjoy it completely. But yeah, we've seen the cloudbusters work perfectly. I've seen, this may sound silly. When I would do psilocybin, I would think I was moving the clouds at times. I'd be like, oh man, I'm actually tripping. I took too much. I'm actually moving the clouds. Well, then I met a woman in real life who said she could move the clouds. This woman's pure, doesn't eat meat. I mean, she is so healthy, so clean, so connected, and she can move the freaking clouds naturally just through meditation. It's almost like she's, if you think a bucket, like what do they call them? The cannons, not the cannons, the cloud busters. If you think a bucket with resin and metal, and then the copper tubes is more powerful than you, when you have intention and you're pure and you're vibrating or you're vortexing, if you think that a 5-gallon bucket with some metal and resin is more powerful than you, that's where we are deceived. Like you were saying earlier, they don't want us to know how powerful we are. If we're all burning cheap freaking vinegar or having fires, what can we do? There's so much to weather modification that's simple and complex. Like, where's the most powerful magnet in the world? One of the most powerful magnets in the world. Where is it? Where'd the hurricane just go? Do you know? Do you guys know?
Where is it?
Tallahassee.
Oh yeah.
Mag Lab. Anybody get on Reddit? Has anybody ever checked out the freaking mag lab, one of the most powerful magnets in the world. Not the largest, the most powerful. Look it up, guys. Tallahassee. What does that have to do with storms? It's been called out recently too. And so there's a lot
of, where's NOAA based out of?
I don't know where their headquarters is. Let's find out. But I do know that they've been working with Homeland Security and NASA for a long time.
Yeah.
NOAA headquarters. Yo, I posted that Noah's Ark when it's upside down that we learned on this like 2 years ago. I posted that yesterday.
So yeah, I saw it.
Headquarters.
That's very convincing.
Oh, well, duh. Sorry. Where's the location? Room 5128, Washington, D.C. Of course.
Okay.
Sorry. Silly me. Filing cabinet in D.C., just like the country, just like the United States. Foreign.
Well, yeah, man. So we've got the native blessing story. And like I said, that's only a fraction of the native blessing origin. They usually revolve around a romance between a European man and a native woman in Tampa Bay area. Some claim it, and like I said, almost every town in that area claims, some rendition of the story. Oh, this is the place it really happened. Yeah, no, this is the place. No, they're telling the wrong story over there. Well, Sarasota claims one of those stories, and that's a popular version. And of course, you have Siesta Key right over there. So a big part of the whole hurricane mystery too is, why does Siesta Key always settle back down with that 99% quartz, no matter how bad that beach gets reformed, reshaped? We'll see in the next couple of days. We'll see how it pans out. Truly pans out, like you're panning for sand.
That's a good
The
one.
quartz, whether the quartz settles back to where it's supposed to be, because I've been to Siesta Key right after hurricanes, and it's, it takes a couple days, it takes a couple of weeks, maybe, but that white quartz sand doesn't go anywhere. So at the very least, I think Siesta Key has some good grounds for claiming this blessing, because Siesta Key is right there. Siesta Key is the purest quartz sand beach in America.
Yeah.
Potentially the world. There's a lot of beautiful beaches in the world. Lots and lots of beautiful beaches.
Mm-hmm.
Lava rock, pebbles, black, gray, orange. Well, in Siesta Key, I think you have perhaps the whitest beach in the world.
I was there every summer my whole life. If you removed all the people, guys, like growing up, it was not as busy as it is now. I shit you not. I would go there over Clearwater. All my friends want to go to Clearwater because it was the cool beach. But I was like, I already went to Siesta Key every summer with my family. I'm like, why would I go to that ghetto ass beach when I can go, another 20 minutes down the road? And there was used to be nobody there all the time. Full, huge parking lots.
Yeah, guys. The whitest beach in the world.
Oh God. Whitest beach sounds really nice.
The whitest beach in the world.
You could literally take frickin' that back in your cooler and put it in your house and use it for whatever you want. Mix it with your soil or your biochar.
But for real, Siesta Key Beach, go look it up for yourselves. I've got a couple videos on it. Very interesting topic. One of Florida's greatest mysteries. It's a beach that is made out of over 99% powdered quartz. It's not even sand. It's like baby powder. Whenever you see, the Instagram models with their butts dipped in perfect, like powdered sugar sand, believe it or not, many of them are flying to Siesta Key or one of these few Florida beaches that have that perfect beach sand for that effect. It's, it's intoxicating for a reason. You're looking at quartz, right? Instead of crushed up shell, instead of crushed up coral particulate from just whatever's out in the ocean. We're talking about over 99% powdered quartz.
It's like snow. It's like powdered snow makes you happy. This
Yeah.
powdered sand makes you that happy. The beating of the drums there are traditionally far more exotic, and I've attended many of them from the time I was like 12 to like 21. Every year, beating of the drums, and they're just like amplified. They're super electric for real.
Yeah, great drum circles over there. Very hippie, holistic crowd over there. Pretty high income area too. Little Siesta Key is very exclusive, like in terms of parking and stuff. It's almost like Palm Beach. Not really country club, less country club, not really any golf, but more of a vacation spot and very exclusive. Now, Siesta Key has the quartz, powdered quartz, and then people say there's a Stargate off of Sarasota, whatever you want to interpret that as. And yeah, so that you kind of got this mini Bermuda Triangle situation over there near Tampa Bay. You've
Ooh, I
also
like
got,
that.
you've
Mini
also,
Bermuda Triangle. That's a great way to put it.
you've also got the Saxor stones, which some would look at as holy stones, sacred stones. The Druids worshipped rocks, venerated rocks, just like the Saxor stones, only smaller usually. And anchors have always been venerated as sacred, right? Think about the spiritual implications of an anchor. Think about the allegories you can use, right, an anchor for. So in Tarpon Springs up there, you've got a altar that's considered to be an anchor, an altar or an anchor. It doesn't have a hole in it, a perfect hole like all the other anchors, most of them, but it does have a cavity where they've tested, and according to the internet, I can't say this is for sure, but according to like a mainstream kind of archaeologist, they've said that they detected definitely evidence of caked up fruit, like offerings. Even though it's been underwater, they can see that fruit has been caked up onto this cavity, like people have been leaving fruit there and it's been rotting. But also probably blood too, that either one group or the same group or a different group was using that altar for blood. Humans, even some say that had to do with another captive over there. There was another similar captive story, right? You've got Narvaez's expedition, Cabeza de Vaca, doing his wandering. You've got Juan Ortiz getting captured there. And then apparently there was another story that I think was from the Calusa, a little south of there. But they crossed up to go to war with the Appalachians, who were even farther north than Tampa Bay. The Calusa, there was a guy shipwrecked there, European, with lighter hair, lighter features, stood out like a sore thumb. He got captured by the Calusa and kind of brought into their lifestyle, like earned a spot in the tribe, earned their respect. I think that guy's name was simply remembered as Barbo or Barbu, just meaning
Barbacoa.
Well, it's close, yeah. Barbacoa. That some people think that also means in French it can mean face to tail or beard to tail, front to end, front to back,
Barbarian.
like on a spit. Well, that too. Barbarian, it can mean bearded, but it means beard. Either way, it means beard. Barb means beard, like go to a barber. So to be barbecued in the native language, it had a meaning, but perhaps in a case of syncretism, you have two meanings in separate languages for that word. They're both valid. In French, barbecue means front to back, to cook something whole, beard to tail. But whatever. So, but this guy's name was Barbu because he was simply known as Bearded Man because all the natives didn't have beards and he had a big beard. So when they found him, he might have even forgotten his name. I don't remember. But they only called him Barbu. So Barbu, he kind of had a similar story. He was almost sacrificed, earned a spot in the tribe, earned the respect, lived amongst them, and then got rescued. And some people point that blessing to him. So that's even farther down towards like Venice and Naples and what's it called? The Calusa. They had their own island, Mound Key. It was like the Calusa capital. So blah blah blah. You got all these native blessings somehow getting tied into the storm. Like a peace blessing between the natives and the Indians. Blah 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 blah. So that's the whole story with the native blessing. But now, the second topic we're going to talk about tonight. I'm sure a lot of you heard this. My mom texted me this out of the blue. She's she's a Gemini. She's very into the weather. You ever wonder why the word weather is so close to the word weather? Weather, EATH, and weather, HETH. Well, weather meaning this or that, either or, whether
Whether or not.
whether you do this, whether you do that. Well, and why it has to do with the weather too. That phonetic root goes back to Gemini, and Mercury, the god of thinking and thought, is also the air, the god of the air, sky. Now, storms, you could say, is more Jupiter. Typhoons, ocean storms, more Neptune. But the weather in general is ruled by Mercury, forecasting. So Geminis love the weather, love to talk about the weather, love to learn about the weather. Geminis are weather people. You'll also notice Geminis, the twins, it's in between two halves, two polar opposites. That's where you get the other weather. Weather this, weather that, opposite sides of the spectrum, two halves, two twins, devil's advocate, very Gemini. Weather. Well, there you go. There's a little, if two words ever sound very close alike, there's always some link there. And it's astrological. Okay. Weather. Well, getting on to the weather, and we're going to talk about the weather modification too. But this thing came out of the news yesterday afternoon or whatever. They were putting out evacuation orders. And my opinion of it is, in order to scare people into evacuating, they started telling people near the Panhandle, up near the Gulf Coast, a little farther north, they started telling people to mark their names and their information, date of birth, social security number, whatever.
Social security number. Interesting.
On their arms, to write their markers on their arms, to write their names on their arms, so that when, not if, so that when the flooding comes, when you're, toast, when you're 10 feet underwater,
we can cash
so
out.
we can identify you. Now,
we can go to death and probate and cash out your social security account and clear the ledgers and make hundreds of millions. Got it. Just like a Catholic, when it says, if found, return me to the Catholic Church. You ever seen those dog tags?
right. Yeah.
Reminds me of that a little bit, but a little
True.
less spiritual, you could say. A little more American government.
What it reminds me of is kind of some of the gaslighting they were doing with the whole the injection pressure tactics. Yeah, you're as good as gone. Just might as well do your will, right? They're telling the unvacationed Maxineed, the ones who hadn't gone on a date with Maxine, spelt with a V, that you're as good as gone. You can't withstand this impending danger. You're as good as gone. The fear tactics were so intense. Now, I'm usually, believe it or not, I'm not the biggest, stay up all night, paranoid type of conspiracy theorist. But we do know that if they're manufacturing these weather events in the Gulf, a lot of it, going back to Katrina, if not more, has been about grabbing coastline, seizing coastline, saying, oh, this is no longer safe. The ocean claimed this. The global warming, this will be gone in 20 years. This is government land now.
Well,
go ahead.
It's BlackRock too. It's not just government. Yes, there's that whole aspect of it too, but there's a whole pricing out that's been happening. I covered this right after Maui in depth. I said, Florida, get ready. Your coastlines are going to start flooding. Insurance. I have receipts, videos saying, get ready for high insurance policies. You guys need to start figuring your lives out because it's already here now. My grandma, everybody's insurance, homeowners insurance is doubling. You're getting priced out. Oh, flood insurance, you're not going to get it, guys. When they warn, when they do these state of emergencies now, immediately, the counties cannot get their FEMA money unless they claim that. So they're going to claim that shit. And there's a lot of money and there's a lot of economics going on. There's a shit ton of land grabbing from flooding to the fires. This is all that's going to happen up until like 2030 till we figure out whether or not we're going to be cyborgs and all this shit. And Uncle Elon's going to take care of us forever and always, all the way to Mars. But all I'm going to say is when things flood and you have them on the coastlines and you really look up the smart city locations, remember that these coastlines are where you need to have those locations because you have the cooling of the oceans, you have the salt, you have all of this water. These are where the star forts were always located, guys. So
someone here in the chat's bringing up a good point. With our whole Garden of Eden theories around the Gulf Coast of North Florida and Mississippi, by the way, that 31st degree parallel that bisects Jerusalem, goes across the Atlantic, hits Jekyll Island, the financial capital of the United States, unspoken financial capital. And then it constitutes the border of North Florida and Alabama. And then it goes over to Mississippi, and it's the border between Mississippi and Louisiana, and then it stops at the Mississippi River. That whole area I consider to be the true Fertile Crescent, and thousands of other Americans do as well. Well, does it surprise us? That's the land that they're going after. And this is just a small piece of this. So we're not subscribing to the whole just marking yourself for death with a Sharpie just for this reason. We're going to get to the other reasons.
Longo's a reset kind of guy.
But why they're going after this specific area, right there in the armpit of Florida, where the panhandle's starting to bend, and then the early panhandle, just the whole panhandle, the whole Gulf Coast is the breadbasket.
Oh, yeah.
Of America. And for them to seize that, they're kind of pulling a Gaza on Northwest Florida, aren't they? With the whole get out of your homes, danger's coming. Let the men in charge figure it out. But again, I'm not usually that paranoid about it. But here, I do have to go shut the AC off. And
shut the AC off.
Give me 1 sec. You take the floor, Spence.
Eminent domain comment. I like that.
Don't say anything too spicy.
Eminent domain has been around since like all of our scripts, guys, that we use, all of our statutory stuff. Eminent domain is what Disney World would use and all that. So yeah, eminent domain can be the last stand, and there's really nothing you can do about it as long as it's for the good of the people, baby. And don't forget, in Florida, Department of Health, and a lot of these Department of Healths, they will utilize their powers, for your safety, your health and safety, because you're a product. We're products. We're their chattel. We're their products. They're trying to protect us. They're trying to keep their investment alive, but they're trying to corral us and control us and put us where they want us. But what's up? Ask me a question while he's away. Bro, they stole Logtown. What's Logtown? Eminent front. It's a blah, blah, blah. An extension of Manifest. I'm hoping whoever calls into Old World Florida is on the Zaza. Sound the alarm. Maui disaster. Spark Global Awakening. Stephanie. Ooh, sounds good. Book. Sound the alarm. That sounds good. For NASA buffer zone. Let me scroll up. Read some more comments. There is also the largest gunpowder factory down close to St. Mark's. I can't help but wonder if they are trying to mess that up for some reason. Well, I just saw that was in the news recently, though. Is it the company that I thought that Ted Nugent was ranting and raving about a couple weeks ago? That's going to sell out. Florida bums live in the Panhandle. 15-minute cities, bad analogy, water, eminent domain. Oh, let's see. If you say so. You can just use your voice. All right. Where are you guys at? What is his channel, the guy speaking? Who's the guy speaking? Me? Spencer, do you think Scientology chose to have their headquarters in Florida for a weird mystical reason? Do I think it's a weird mystical reason? No, I think they're very intentional and very obvious with their motions. They move so like swiftly. They've been doing this for so long. It's almost like they're like disciplined like the Chinese. Like the Chinese will work on a 30-year plan, and Scientology is doing it as well. It seems to have a very physical and metaphysical direct connection. I think Scientology understands the bridge between physics and metaphysics, and they utilize it perfectly. And if you guys don't know, Clearwater is full of quartz sand too. Like, even though Siesta Key is mainly 99.9% pure quartz sand, Clearwater Beach has that too. And so it's not just there. It's just that's where it's just compiled. Trump did in Scotland off the coast, golf course destroying, perfect point break, wave that Surf Rider Foundation fought but lost. Yeah, let's not forget the golf courses. Spencer from Florida. Strange that Helene just hit and already forming in the same area today. Due next weekend. Spencer, have you ever seen any gnomes working with the Florida Department of Magic? Yes, indeed. At I had a little bit of psilocybin up at Bach Tower, and there was little people all over that, so everywhere out there. As soon as it started to get late, there was nobody there. The people weren't around. Gnomes came out. 30-year plan is way out. I only ever heard of 5. You remember when Longo was chugging Coca-Cola for an entire episode? No, was he? For real? Those ones that can only comment on someone else's chat and never make a decent statement themselves or cite historical fact on something, got to love them. We need them for war fodder. I think Scientology is way more important than people give it credit. I think there's some meat on that bone. I'm not going to fight you on that. I got a buddy that's trying to get, I got to be careful what I say. I have a buddy that's being interrogated, trying to get somebody on the inside. I've got another buddy that's LiDARing Fort Jefferson right now. So the Star Fort and the Keys, Dry Tortugas, he's actually LiDARing all of Fort Jefferson, and Longo has seen the some of the photos. He's sending me the photos. They're giving him the whole spiel on John Wilkes Booth and the prisoner being sent there, and he's just like sitting there. He's just like, this ain't a damn military fort. And it finally hit him. And by the way, this guy's got crazy satellite, exotic LiDAR and the most crazy military grade survey equipment you can imagine. He's from Dade City, kind of where I'm from. But he is a full-fledged flat earther now that he understands how his equipment really works. We've had a few lunches, and he's at the Star Fort gathering a ton of intel for probably a few more months for us. So I love seeing his pictures of like 3 and 4 layers of different kinds of bricks. And I'm like, anytime you see layering and facading, get in there and get pictures, because what he's doing, surveying, is probably another round of facading and, reconstruction. I know they just had a bunch of immigrants housed in there. He's sleeping in there actually right now, which is pretty cool. Never trust a gnome in a tiny hat. No, well, why not? I saw some friendly ones. John Wilkes, brother. That's where they did the Babylon working moonchild ritual of Crowley's, they being Parsons and Hubbard, 1948, before moving Celtic experiments to that site out of the way. They blew some. Oh, really? At Fort Jefferson? Get out of town. No way. Really? That's new to me. LiDAR is the bomb. Yeah, it's ground penetrating stuff he's using. It's really cool. You can see like the kind of the keyhole where the water comes in and out of the star fort. La Canada High School is right across the street from NASA JPL. Did anybody look into the Tallahassee magnet, by the way? I just did a night tour of Crystal River Pyramid last week. Good timing. Glad you got it in before it got smoked. I speak to my gal every night when I make passionate blank to her. Boy, Abbott.
Speaking of getting smoked, you holding it down, Spence? You mind if I go pop out for a toke?
Pop out. I'm talking to the chat.
Sweet.
I'm talking to the chat and hanging.
Well, hey now, don't be giving them any funny ideas. These peeps need a tip if they want to get acknowledged as. No, just kidding.
If you guys have ever eaten enough shrooms and you're in a good enough mood and you're moving clouds around the moon, it might be real. I'm just gonna throw that out there for you. It might be real.
Shout out Rebecca Frost. How you doing, Rebecca? Shout out to Gary. Say what up to him. Yeah,
I got Natalie's grapefruit right now.
Oh, hell yeah.
Spence pays attention to us. I do. This is still possibly my first, but you guys are almost becoming my second favorite chat on YouTube. I'm not going to say the other one just yet. You guys are still holding it down.
You're right.
We got to get Matt from Cultivate Elevate on here. I've been texting with him like every day for last week. You guys like Matt from Cultivate Elevate? The shroom yawns are powerful. Yeah, they are. The yawns is definitely holding it down. Take your time. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. There's probably fine print on that law that says if you evacuate your property, you lose rights to recover it. Oh, of course, dude. There's simple adverse possession stuff. Adverse possession laws mean you can go pay the taxes. Just look it up, guys. Learn how to pay the taxes and steal somebody's property right out from underneath them that's in default that hasn't even been evicted yet. It's pretty interesting stuff. But yeah, if the place is, state of emergency, you have this crazy event, blah, 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 eminent domain, just like Maui. I mean, we all knew that was the biggest. That was a terrible land grab. Terrible, terrible land grab. It was probably the worst, one of the worst in history. That was so obvious. Spencer reads my comments, Longo ignores me. Rock and roll, you got some good ones. You got some bangers. Like we rock like no other. Dang. The MagLab, here we go. The MagLab stuff is insane. I've never heard of it before you said it. Get on Reddit. People talk a lot of shit, but storms are electric, right? They're actually, dielectric, if you will. They're electromagnetic. So do we not, if we can steer these damn things with electrostatics, you guys don't think we can mess with them with the most powerful magnets in the world? There's jokes, that have been out there for a long time relating to the storms not being able to hit the magnet and stuff. And there's a lot going on. Spencer Audits is a cool YouTube channel now. Yo, I've watched those. Yeah, just because he's got the same name. 100 Tesla magnets. Freaking say, yeah, the Teslas, it's measured in Teslas. So the power of your magnet. It's ball lightning. Y'all think, I'm close to Spring Hill. Pete Canaris is over here. Y'all really think that was ball lightning? I was out on my porch catching a little bit of it. I'm like, what the fuck was that? It didn't look like ball lightning. Ball lightning is like what you saw in them videos where it was like going over the railroad track. These were like massive and orb-like. Just, I don't know, bullshit.
Someone say my name. Shoddy knows.
The worst land grab was what we did to the Native Americans, dude.
Shoddy be known.
I didn't do it. You didn't do it. But yeah, when they took out the buffalo, I don't sleep well at night because of that one still. When they stacked bones.
Worst land grab ever. I don't know. I think we brought them Christianity and a wonderful, peaceful world. Yeah. These were not peaceful little Pocahontas cupcakes that were living here. They were some mean hombres, just to say the least. They were.
How about Africa?
A ruthless society. And we brought them Christianity. Hang on. We brought them Christianity, and it was not necessarily forced on them, as is always depicted and guilt-tripped over the white people. No, the Seminoles, who were probably the most wild Indians there was, as late as it goes. As recently as like the 1960s, these guys were living barefoot out in the wild, and they signed up for Christianity themselves. They resisted, European control longer than anyone, and still, when it was all said and done, and they earned their freedom, they said, "Okay, now we'll take our Bibles, please. We'll take our missionaries, please. On our terms, not forced down our throats, but we want some of that. Give us some of that good old Jesus, okay?" And turns out they had their own legends. Shout out to my Mormon friends who we've had on here, and they've talked about the peacekeepers, the legend of the peacekeeper or the peace bringer in a lot of these native folklores. And then the Seminole even have a story, or the Tequesta and Seminole have a story about Jesus Christ presenting himself to the native Floridians down near Key Biscayne, near Miami Beach. So, yeah, some cool legends on that. And it's always looked at as the guilt trip. Oh, we did them so bad. The first thing they did when we showed up is start trying to use the European war powers against each other, against each other's enemies. You know what I mean? They'd try and work deals behind each other's back to take out their enemies. So as soon as the European, oppressors showed up, they all sought alliances with them to vanquish their own enemies who they'd been warring with for, in some cases, hundreds of years. So, some of those Indians were very smart people. The Seminoles were strong, brave, intelligent, industrious. They loved their Christianity. It was never forced on them. So, Christianity, when Europeans showed up to these places, they didn't just bring disease and hunger. And, a lot of that's mainstream propaganda too. They brought Christianity. And what's Christianity? It's not just a holier than thou mentality. It vanquishes the need for animal sacrifice and blood sacrifice. Erases it. That's the beauty of Christianity. It's pretty much the only religion which has no component of animal sacrifice. Oh, but Jesus is a human sacrifice. Yeah, that's the whole point. He's teaching a lesson. I am the sacrifice. You are the sacrifice. Good deeds is the sacrifice. Taking your own sins as your own burden is the sacrifice. No expelling them into another animal, depositing them into another animal. That's all banking code. The shambles, it all goes hand in hand. So, blah, blah, blah. What's up, Spence?
I was going to say there are benefits to Christianity for once you decide you're going to, team up. You have protections on the land and treaties, biblically speaking, that without it, they actually they would have continued to be at war. So there are protections for them in the Bible that carry over into all types of law and trusts, and where treaties and equity lies with titles. And so they still hold title to a lot of cool things that people don't realize. The reason they get paid is because of that type of stuff. The reason Disneyland could pull their stuff off is because of literally biblical scripture, as the Bible as a trust indenture, if you will. And, our Constitution was written, and it was based off of the Bible. And you can look up, I think it's public law. Let me look at 97-210 or something. Public law 97-210 Bible, blah, blah, blah. Public law 97-280-82. Scriptures led to the early settlement of our nation, whereas biblical teachings inspired concepts of civil government that are contained, yada, yada. And it goes into saying that our Constitution was written in accordance with the King James, the 1611 King James, as a reference point.
Yep. Once the common people got a hold of the Bible, I mean, you know, there's no going back. That's why it was being kept away from the people in a commonly accessible, dignified language like the English King James Version Bible, which could just as easily have been the Queen Elizabeth version Bible. So don't put all your eggs in the, oh, well, King James was a questionable character. Well, name one
He was,
character in
he was
history.
a gay demonologist.
I mean, they're not entirely wrong, but still, it was his patronage, right? So choose your favorite Renaissance painting. Oh, well, guess what? It was funded by the Medicis, or it was funded by the, so where are you going to draw the line? Like, the greatest geniuses of the time will always be rubbing elbows with the greatest financiers of the time. Think Tesla was rubbing elbows with questionable people
All day
and
long.
you
He
know
was the Epstein.
pick your favorite genius. They had to at one time rub elbows with questionable people. So yes, good point. Everyone in history is a freak. Yeah, exactly. Your
Diddy,
life in review in a microscope. Never.
Diddy ain't the first Diddy.
So blah blah blah. Here, let's go back to this permanent marker thing. That's kind of what I put in the title. There was a city when this whole hurricane was landing. There was a city that was, I should have left this up like this. My bad, y'all. There was a sheriff, a city, a town. I don't know who really gave out the order. We're going to find out here, I guess. My mom sent me this, like I mentioned earlier, that a city was telling their people, or a county, a sheriff, I forget, was telling their people, mark yourselves with permanent marker, because if you're not evacuating, you're going to be gonzo. You're going to be dunzo. So mark yourself, so when we find your body, we can identify you. And yeah, you'll save us the trouble. Yeah, you'll save us the trouble of having to just, put you with your address and blah blah blah. They're trying to terrify people into leaving. It's like I was saying, oh, you're not going to take the V? Well, guess what? Might as well sign your will. Might as well go to the hospice instead of the hospital. Oh, he's on V'd? Oh, no. He can't be getting first class treatment. You know what I mean? It's kind of the same mindset. Am I right? And
wow,
they were telling people, do this. I don't know if that's being blown out of proportion by if it was just a suggestion for people who, were in very dangerous spots. But here, we're going to read this little thing here. And we'll get to the bottom of it.
so stupid.
Sheriff, this is from USA Today. If there's a more direct source, drop it in the chat and we'll switch over to there. But sheriff takes grim tack with hurricane evacuation holdouts. Local law enforcement in Florida is urging evacuation holdouts to write down their name and date of birth on their bodies in permanent marker ahead of the storm. There we go.
Wonder how much Sharpie paid for that ad.
Yeah, good point. So you can see some busted bridges, flooding. That's what it's looking like.
One time I took my jet ski to the bay in a hurricane, and my mom was terrified because none of my friends would go, and I went. And I had a big old Sea-Doo jet ski that I backed in myself in the hurricane, frickin' snorkel and mask on. And I'm like, what am I doing? And I get out there, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, huge swells. I'm having a blast. These dudes show up on stand-up jet skis, and they ride with me the whole time. And I pulled out in the front of my jet ski a 5-gallon tank of gas, and these guys cheered. They tried to feed me and like give me doobies in the rain. It was awesome. True story.
Yeah.
Seeing that makes me excited. Reminds me of my youth.
Oh yeah, we used to go boogie boarding and try and get someone to tow you on a bike or a car, or like you see in the news. That's like every Florida kid's hurricane protocol is grab something and go,
Yeah.
fuck around in the water.
Oh yeah. I saw a decent dome and spire in the background there. I don't know what building that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sharpie's headquarters might be in Florida. We don't know.
Floridians, so we're resuming here from the article. Floridians along the coast who decided to stay put and ride out Hurricane Helene got a grisly warning from the local sheriff's office. Quote, if you or someone you know chose not to evacuate, wrote the Taylor County Sheriff's Office, please write your name, birthday, and important information on your leg, arm or leg in a permanent marker so that you can be identified and family notified. Oh my God. The warning, clearly referring to identification of post-mortem remains, was aimed at people who ignored mandatory evacuation orders and warnings about the storm's oncoming wallop.
Wow.
It's hard to see the message as anything but stay at your own peril at the risk of death. Yeah, total unfair scare tactic from such an authority. This is what it is. I love law enforcement. Now I back the blue. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Now I back the blue. Okay? I'm backing the blue. But we all know they can all have this. Shout out to my friend. I'm quoting my friend on that. But we all know that some cops, a lot of cops, can have this attitude. Oh, well, everything's going dandy, and I know you didn't commit a crime, but I did kind of casually just tell you to do something, and you're not executing it. You're to a T. So now I'm ticked off, and now I'm going to up the ante, and now I don't know if you're a threat. Now I don't know if you're, oh, you're violating this command. Well, now you've become a criminal, right? We've all seen one of these, pull over traffic stops where someone's not necessarily being the friendliest or most cooperative. And just because a simple, not even like a reasonable command gets ignored, the fact that their authority wasn't, recognized, that their word wasn't as good as law, ticks them off just about more than anything. So there's there's a breed of cop who is like that. And it sounds like that culture has penetrated whatever office this is coming out of. Because people have every right to stay and brave a storm, right? The sheriff's office doesn't have the right to tell you, oh, it's too dangerous, you got to go. However much money you put into your house, however much you think you can maybe achieve just by being there, during the storm to save your house, save your belongings. Nope, you got to go. You got to fit what you can in your car. You got to go. Basically, that's not a right that I think the sheriff should have. And for them to scare people like this, it's unfair. It's un-Floridian of them. It's very beta behavior. It's very WHO, FEMA, NWO scare tactics. If you want to go really deep, you could say, well, hey, if my family, if this whole county's ordered to leave, and they're literally mean everyone's leaving, or else you're gonna be, you don't even know if your body will be identified because the damage will be so bad. If they're doing that, and let's just say that they do scare enough people, everyone to go leave. And some of these islands, some of these barrier island areas don't have many people on them. Up there, they call a lot of that the nature coast because there's pretty much no habitation on big portions of the Florida coast where the panhandle starts to bend before Tallahassee. And then if you get enough of a people to leave an area and they don't have firsthand don't have eyes on the damage as soon as it happens, you can almost manufacture whatever type of damage you want.
Weird.
You can make it seem like oh guys, that whole barrier island's gone. It got wiped clean. Yeah, we're gonna give you a little payout and such, but you gotta go somewhere else. You can't even move back over here.
There's no payout. It's more like an eminent domain payout. You know, you got to sell out and you get your pittance for what it's worth now.
Just like New Orleans, a lot of that coastal area, which is considered doomed either by hurricane damage or impeding quote unquote global warming, climate change. Well, it turns out people like the Bushes and a lot of these families are buying up big portions of what's considered, unusable coastline. And there's a big theory about Katrina being a play for a land grab on the Louisiana coast. And, they could be doing the same thing with Florida. Granted, hurricanes do happen, and God is the author of nature, not the Illuminati.
Katrina
they do have their tools and tricks.
Katrina is the most modified, enhanced, and maneuvered, steered hurricane of all time since we've been alive, by far. Topher covered that in depth on a podcast with somebody. I can't remember. Jim Lee. It was Topher and Jim Lee with frickin' Sam Tripoli.
I wasn't live yet.
You what?
I wasn't alive yet. That was 94 or 95 earlier?
Katrina? No.
Yeah. Oh no, Katrina. Oh, sorry, my bad. I was thinking of Andrew. Yeah, Katrina.
No, my brother was born in
Katrina's 2005, or 2004 or something.
Yeah, so Katrina was the freaking hurricane did like this. It like went here and here and here. It moved so many times. You're just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's the craziest spaghetti string model of any hurricane, like 10 times different. And remember, there was not a hurricane for a decade, like 9 years up until that point. But who just became president?
Well, Bush had been president for
Bush
had been president for like 4 years or so. Or just got reelected, maybe. Who knows? But whatever. So permanent markers. Who knows? Mark of the beast. Signing your own death certificate, right? What type of magic is that? And what type of dark psychology is that, right? The very unFloridian, a sad day for Floridians. We don't like the scare tactics coming out of whatever county this was. Looks like Spencer popped out, so we'll bring in one of our callers here. Yo, Brian Metz, how you doing, man?
Yo, hey.
You gotta turn me off in the background.
Okay, cool.
Por favor. Yo, Brian Metz, how you doing?
Real well. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. What's up?
All right, hold on. Just a second.
Yeah, turn that secondary source off, please.
I'll just turn off the television. That's probably the best plan then. Okay.
Appreciate it. How you doing, man? Where are you calling us out of tonight?
Calling from Hot Springs, Montana.
Ooh.
And I'm enjoying the show. Actually, I really enjoy your channel. That damn TV doesn't want to turn off. Oh, there it goes. Anyway, you've covered some great content tonight. And I'm trying to remember my comment. I'm so excited now since I'm on the show, acting like a horse's ass. Anyway, there's interesting things. There's we were talking about weather a little while ago, and I discovered that the first weather patent was in 1891. And of course, there's hundreds of those patents now. And it'll make your hair stand on end when you start looking at some of these patents and the capabilities that they have. It's pretty mind-blowing. So I don't think that there's anything going on here. This is my opinion, that they're not managing somehow or the other. Probably not easy to drive a hurricane, but You know, it is all electric here, I believe, and I think they can make this stuff happen for sure. But
So that's your opinion of this storm or storms in general. What's your verdict on this one? You think this was modified or steered?
yeah, and then I just heard that there's another storm supposed to be coming in a week behind it. Yeah,
Oh,
already. So yeah, I think so. And the timing, but of course, this is hurricane season. But you know,
dude, they had people saying this was the biggest storm there's ever been, and it's always the same
gaslight.
Yeah, to send people to the grocery stores, clear the shelves, nice little, the summer.
Yeah,
the kind of the business slows down at the end of the summer, and
well,
this is all.
I've been waking up for the last 5 years, and just this last year has just really been insane. The things that I've been learning about all of the horrific programs and stuff that are running beneath the surface, especially when it comes to tampering with our brains and stuff remotely. And it's frightening. There's a lot of things to be fearful of, I guess. And I'm not, one shouldn't be fearful, but I think one should be apprised of the situation and, trying to learn everything they possibly can so that they can formulate a solution. That's what I'm about. There's got to be a solution to the problem.
Can I give you my take on that and
Please.
what or what not to be afraid of and such? I think it's never good to be afraid.
No.
But also we don't have much to be afraid about. We live in a wonderful world, harmonious and good, designed by good forces with good purpose. And any type of torture that we're being subjected to by the Illuminati, New World Order, capital T, they, whoever we want to call them, they're doing it to themselves too. I guarantee you can dedicate yourself to drinking more pure spring water than they ever will. You can dedicate yourself to using more pure, products than they ever will. And ultimately, no matter what weapons they use against us, will hurt them more because holistic health is a lifestyle choice, and it's one that they fail at. So they have to resort to, blood magic and the left-hand path of holistic health and all this stuff. And any type of frequency beam, whatever they're using on us, they're using on themselves too. They're not safe. We have the ability and freedom to make better choices. They don't. They're imprisoned in their bad choices and their family's bad choices and the bad karma and the birth defects that go along with it. So we are in control. We have more freedom to make health choices, believe it or not. And ultimately, anything they spray down from the sky, they're inhaling just as much. So the bar is level for everybody. The playing field's level, no matter what they throw at us. And also, wherever you go after you die will be better than what they're dealing with, what they're up against. So nothing to be frightened about.
Indeed.
Holistic health is easy. Detoxing is easy. A lot of these, this is the bad side with a lot of the holistic health community. A lot of those people want to sell you a program too. They want to sell you a 3-year-long detox program because they need patients just like your hospitals do. So take your health into your own hands. You can't go wrong with fresh squeezed orange juice and anti-parasite protocols, things like that. And that's the real ones. Another thing is, at the end of the day, we're like a cruise ship. We are designed to eat just about anything on Earth and make it out alive, right? Well, no one makes it out alive, but if you turn the engine up hot enough, crude oil will get the job done, right? So, that's shit. I think our caller dropped out here. Maybe I was rambling way too fucking long. My bad, man. But never be frightened. Never be frightened. The Illuminati works off of fear tactics. Remember, they don't need money. They don't want money. They print the money. They don't need mansions. They already grew up in mansions. You know what I mean? Sometimes they even dress poor for fun. They don't need money. They print the money. What do they want? What do they really want?
Power.
Blood and fear. Not even power.
What do
They
you mean
they
not power. What
they
do you
set
gain
up.
from-
They
what do
set
you
up.
gain from blood and fear. What do
They
you
set-
gain from blood and fear?
Maybe, but okay.
Power,
If you're looking
power,
at it that
dog.
way, sure.
Well, yeah, that's how
Yeah,
I look
sure.
at it, my nigga. Come on.
But oh man, you're gonna get me in trouble now, my boy.
What? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, this ain't TikToks. This ain't
My
TikTok,
bad.
son.
I say that once every 2 years and get away with it.
Never-
And no one catches
never-
it. You caught it.
Never
Yeah,
thought
dude.
Spencer.
You guys are
Never-
horrible.
Never thought Spencer would be the one.
Hey guys, speaking of holistic health, this is 110 volts plugged in of AC electricity. It's called an electro box. If you want to ozonate your blood, there's no way I could ever get sick again with one of these. I'll just tell you guys that. We're gonna debut this thing because I can't touch it in Florida because it's too much humidity in the air. I have to use these little napkins. But when I crank it on, I'm literally ozonating my blood. If I gave blood like after doing this for 5 minutes, it would be straight bubbles. You think I'm kidding? This shit is insane. A hippie and a California electrician engineer is making a bunch of these for like 125 bucks. But he's been doing it for 55 years. He grew back his teeth. He's never been sick. He had this like bandana on and long hair, and he was like, I was kissing the girls who had the COVID, couldn't get it. And he has a challenge for anybody with any sore throat anywhere ever to get on the electro box, and it goes away almost instantaneously. And we've already had 2 success. It's kind of crazy. I'm electrocuting myself every day, and my dog now. So
I heard
let you
that.
guys-
I heard the Sibian machine works on that too.
what's this?
Dog.
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. Spencer is gonna get us fired. Hey, what was I talking about before they kicked me
might.
off? What was I talking about before they kicked me off? For real.
Probably. I don't know.
Well, I
But
do have
whatever.
something pulled up when you were talking about it's. I was like, ooh, where do they want you to write it with your Sharpie on your arms and your legs? Have you guys ever heard of the lean, the agricultural lean that's on all of us?
No. Oh,
right.
here we go. What more?
gonna share.
Admiralty, law, sovereignty,
I'm gonna share. No, it's a
Legal.
lean. It's a lean on
legalese.
all the humans.
Helene.
A lean.
What do you call a girl with one leg?
Eileen.
What do you call her twin sister who's more athletic?
I don't know.
IHOP.
Oh, what do you call a guy with no arms and no legs in the middle?
No. Sorry, this is
Oh,
how it goes.
oh,
Sorry, my bad. My bad.
God.
What do you call a girl with one leg? Eileen.
Eileen.
What's her favorite restaurant? IHOP. Something like that.
One.
My grandpa told
Wait.
those.
I rewinded. You were talking about Hurricane Katrina. Oh, Hurricane Katrina. So you have the most insanely modified, devastating hurricane that we've ever experienced in our lifetimes. And then there's no hurricane for like 9 years. Trump comes in, adjusts the TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership, goes away first day. And then what happens? We're smoked 3 times by the end of the year. So you have this massive window of nothing. Then somebody comes in and pisses off the Trans-Pacific Partnership. And then all of a sudden we get smoked 3 times in a row.
Mm.
I find that a little bit, I don't know, suspicious.
Yeah.
Thanks
But,
for rewinding, Fourth Emperor. Thanks for going back.
Totes, man. Totes. Shout out Fourth Emperor.
Oh, the lean though. You guys need to. I put it in there. So there's literally a $14 quadrillion lean. on all of us. It says it's literally as all real men with hands and legs and all real land in the United States of America. 14 quadrillion with trust in God. Blah blah blah. It's through the North American Water and Power Alliance, the Pentagon, the U.S. Department of Defense, Accounting Services. Yep, it's an agricultural lien. Shared it in the chat if you all want to look at it. So if you sharpie your arms and legs, they know that you're their chattel and you belong to them, and they can then, collect on your ass.
Interesting.
Salvage laws. You abandon your shit, you don't come back. That stuff's real, guys. Estates. What are the Templars? This is all the same stuff. It's never changed. Nothing new under the sun.
So here, let's look at this. Gene Taylor. Oh no, that's not important.
Share that, Alex.
So what county was that? That was telling about the Taylor County. Taylor County. Okay, let me look where Steenhatchee is.
Dude, Horseshoe Beach on Steenhatchee. I remember when I was a kid, the most horseshoe crabs I've ever seen in my life. Good fishing, dude. Great fishing there.
Yeah, and up near Steenhatchee, they've got hella horseshoe crabs over there too. That's where I think I saw my first horseshoe crab.
Horseshoe Beach. My dog pulls them out of the ocean he puts them, when they're mating, they come up on the land. He takes them, he throws them in the ocean. When they come out, he grabs them, throws them in the ocean. I'll show you guys a video if you want.
So let's see what people are saying about the storm. Hey, the link's in the chat, by the way. I'll send it again. The link's on screen, guys. Copy and paste. I sent it again. So shout out to Brian for calling in earlier. He got disconnected for some reason. Or he left because I talked too much. My bad. Hurricane Helene tracker. Quote, at least 40 dead, they're saying. Who knows? That might go up. That might come down. I think that's going to come down, honestly. At least 40 dead as storm batters southeast after Florida landfall. More than 4.8 million without power. Destruction and damage reports in North Carolina, Georgia, Florida from Helene. My friend Jeffrey, shout out Jeffrey, is over there on like a response team helping people who are, affected by this. I think he's doing more electrical stuff. But still, God bless him. Keep Jeffrey in your prayers. He's out there kind of doing a little storm chasing, I guess.
Good money in that. My buddies do it. Guys, I'm getting zapped right now.
Zapped by what?
This box. I'm taking it right now. Alternating current.
You brushing your teeth too?
No, it's just a pen. I'm just chewing on something because I'm not used to this yet. I'll tell y'all about Electrobox later. I'm listening. Ow, shit.
What are you
Too
doing?
wet. It's too wet in here. Can't do it. It's too humid. Fuck.
You shocking yourself?
Oh, just casually electrocuting myself.
Thought I told you no kink stuff on stream.
Wow. Dude, this is so stupid. We're gonna go over that someday. You're gonna laugh. You're gonna be like, no way.
Just dropped my shekels, my bad. Here we got yo, Rye guy. What's up? Rye, you're in the chat. Where are you calling us out of?
Yo.
What's up,
Can you hear
Rye?
me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what's up?
Chilling, man.
I'm in the Philadelphia area.
Oof.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I knocked door to door there one summer.
It's a rough one. Well, what can we do for you tonight? Thoughts on the hurricane? What's on your mind?
First, I want to know, what is that electro box, Vince? That thing that piqued my interest. Now that I just called in and I saw that.
We're hooked up to 110 volts of alternating current, and there's some sort of dampening device in there, and I'm zapping myself. I'm ionizing the blood in my body. It's crazy. I'll put it on my Instagram. We'll go over it. Come on live. I'll go live about it. We'll talk about it. It's funny. Saving lives, kids with leukemia and all kinds of stuff, though. It actually excites bone marrow stem cells. It's crazy. It's all about alternating current. Your blood electrification devices are all DC. Everything is DC you can buy. Everything is DC.
Someone tell those little Make-A-Wish kids all they need is to start sucking on a car battery. They'll be all right.
Dude, right. Well, if you know what leukemia is, if you know how these deep bone diseases are, this guy's been doing it for a long time. He's got like a doubled up system
I know a girl or two who know a thing. I know a girl or two who know a thing or two about deep bone diseases. Might know an expert or two in that field. I actually happen to be an expert in that field on the giving end, not receiving end, just to be clear. But caller, what's up, Rye?
Fair. I guess I'll ask about what about like Crystal River? How impacted did they get?
Good point.
Storm.
I don't know. Let me search it up.
That's north of Tampa, and you were talking about how south of Tampa has been chilling.
I'm north of Tampa, and Newport Richey got absolutely storm surge flooded.
Okay.
I'm east of Newport Richey. Hey, you ever been to Conshohocken?
Conshohocken, yeah. I live in like the Bucks County area.
Okay. I had an apartment there one summer, and Malcolm X Park. I was getting a security sale by Malcolm X Park, and then all of a sudden they thought I was a cop. Someone shot over my head, and I had to run from the scene and hide in one of those big, beautiful gargoyle churches.
Yeah, they're fire. Yeah, that's
they're
crazy.
Beautiful. They're on like every other corner there, man. Awesome, crazy churches there.
Hey, Rye guy, it looks like we are. Oh no, that's not Helene. Looks like Crystal River had a decent amount of flooding.
Jeez, man.
At least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like interested in Crystal River because up here it's ridiculous.
Hurricane Helene, Crystal River storm surge. Yeah, looks like some roads are totally flooded out.
Yeah, wow.
Got some sweet tea water in the intersections.
Dude, I gotta check on my buddy now. He just moved there and started planting a bunch of fruit trees. I gotta get on.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm future holds. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. Oh my gosh.
It'll be all right. This is just like a detox. You know, they always want us to think that these are like destruction events, and you know, you always got to build to last. You got to build with strong materials. But at the end of the day, this is really just a detox, and the waterways, they need this stuff. I always tell the story. When you go down the canals and you see all the gunk and the trash in the canals, all the stagnant water, the grass is growing up high, the muck is, poor quality, so it's stagnant. So much stagnant water trapped in these canals.
Mm-hmm.
After these hurricanes, I've gone down some of my favorite canals before and right after hurricanes, and it's like the day before, it looks like India. Looks like a trash farm. And then after the hurricane, it looks like crystal clear, spring fed. The fish are pristine.
That's a good point, man. You know the land I took you to out on that lake long ago? Remember you're at my place? I took you to a lake and we walked this land that was like this 13 acres with 2 big sinkholes on it.
Oh, yeah.
So after Hurricane Ian, for like 2 months, water was just flowing through the lake, through all of the water systems. And Hurricane Ian brought the most water I've ever seen after a hurricane in Florida because it was so big. It was so big and it covered the whole state for so long. It was one of the biggest flushes I'd ever seen. So it's a good way to look at it. It's almost like a controlled burn, even, if you will. I just hope there's no people in it, like Maui.
Well, Rye guy.
Yeah, wait, I was thinking you were talking about Hurricane Katrina, and I mean I wasn't even I didn't really know much then, but didn't they build the Superdome like a year or two before, and then didn't the Saints win the Super Bowl the year after?
Right. I
That may
think
need to get fact checked, but
Ripped.
something like that. They definitely had this big opening ceremony
and then
kickoff
Kanye
party.
calling out Bush on the when
Yep.
they had the Katrina relief.
Yeah. Snipers and looters and
Interesting stuff.
all that stuff going on.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Shout out you, Spencer. Longo. Awesome stuff. I'll catch you guys.
Thanks,
Right.
Ryan.
Travel.
Right,
You
thanks
have a
for
good night,
calling.
man.
I'll call
Sure.
in again if the questions are good.
I'll see you in
Sure,
Malcolm X Park.
All right,
Hell
let
yeah.
me know if you're in the Philadelphia area. For sure.
Will do, man.
All right.
My family's from there, actually. I was only teasing. Good place. But
It was terrifying for me.
what was?
Philly.
Why?
We were selling security systems, knocking door to door one summer, and sometimes my car group driver would be getting a sale at like 11, 12 o'clock at night, installs, and just leave me in the middle of the ghettos, and I would have to hide at the bottom basement of those churches. They usually had a plug. There's always a back stoop, and I would literally hide in those massive like Gothic cathedrals. But thank God they were there. There would have been nowhere for me to go. Everywhere was terrifying. Like Ybor City used to be the scariest ghetto closest to me. And I'm like, shit, I'll go through Ybor naked doing cartwheels with money taped to me compared to freaking ghettos of Philly. Philly was scary for me. They shot over my head.
Yeah, man.
For sport.
That's crazy. Philadelphia it's the first city where I ever walked around by myself. And I was very young. I was like 12 years old. My grandma let me walk down to either go to a Subway or a McDonald's when I was like 12 years old, maybe even younger.
Row homes and all?
And she grew up in Philadelphia, so city life was like normal to her. I did not grow up in the country or rural by any means, but even from Palm Beach going to a big city, that was like my first big city experience, Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember I almost gave away all the money she gave me to get food because I had not encountered like guilt tripping homeless people on the street before. And I had all this money to go get like a Subway sub. And
At
this
12.
homeless guy like stopped me by myself. Yeah, little kid by myself. Not too little, but and pretty much was like, "Hey man, I need that money more than you do." And I didn't have much to say. And I think I gave him a little bit, almost gave him all of it, but
No, bitch, let me get my sandwich first and then we'll talk.
made it out of there alive. And
dude, all I remember is there was literally a hoagie and pizza shop on every block. Like every corner had a hoagie and pizza shop. Everybody bought lotto tickets.
hoagies, yeah.
There was some badass row homes, like Victorian, awesome hidden row homes that people kept restored that I really liked there. Not to mention the old world churches that probably had old aqueducts and springs in the middle of them. They were like Klosterman level, you know, mega cathedrals. What about the old world shit? Yeah, what about it? Hoagies is great. Yep. They'd be tripping in Philly. You used to be able to go in the hood and you'd get 10 people surround your car and they just threw dope in the car and asked you for like 100. Huh.
Hoagies are people in Florida don't really say hoagie. That's a total Philadelphia thing.
Yeah.
My family grew up saying hoagies. I always thought it was embarrassing. So
we would have the day off on Sunday, and I remember I went by Temple University out in the woods. It was this deep spring hole called Devil's something. Everything beautiful and awesome is named Devil's something, by the way. Devil's Den, Devil's Tower, Devil's Spring. Why they always got to make all the beautiful, cool shit Devil's something? Because they don't want us to go there and enjoy it in the right manner, probably. But I remember, yeah, there was like 100-foot deep spring right off Temple University in the woods. We would go to on the weekends. Hulk Hogan is a legend. Brother, yeah.
So
Part of that skit.
what is there to show for the whole weather modification? part of this. And I don't think all the info is not in on how much damage this really did yet. So we're gonna hold off on really, committing to a death toll or whatever. But
I don't think it's about deaths. I think it's about land. I think it's about pricing out the middle class. I think it's all BlackRock level land grabs. And I think it's always about flooding. I have at least 5 videos over the last 2 years, especially since Maui, where I warned Floridians, you will be flooded. Get your shit in order. And like specifically articulating that in multiple videos. And here we are. Everybody's homeowner's insurance is doubled. Your property taxes are going up, and now they're flooding pretty much anywhere they can. And so I'm luckily in a spot inland enough, but man, right down the road, you got Newport Richie. My boys are underwater right now. All my Tampa peeps are, I'm getting texts right now. Dude, his Lexus is flooded. Like, dude had to get a dog to the vet in the middle of the flood. It's crazy stuff. Oh,
well, Spence, what is there to show for the weather modification?
Well, I don't pull
part of
things up.
this?
I don't pull things up on here. I can share links and stuff. But what I'll say is,
Yeah, I can pull stuff up. It's just me behind me
Okay.
operating the stuff. I can pull it up.
I mean, you could go to my Instagram if you want and just kind of look so people can see what I'm talking about. Nextrad towers. So you've had climate, gurus like Jim Lee make fun of people that talk about Nextrad towers, aka Doppler-like towers, not having enough power to affect, the weather. And it's like, okay, so say you got 750 kilowatts, 750,000 watts in a Nexrad tower, Nexrad. Anybody that knows. So one isn't gonna affect a hurricane. Sure, one isn't gonna do shit, but there are hundreds of these things, and when they are all lighting off in unison like a damn fan, and you can see them going off perfectly, evaporating the water, radiating and evaporating the water above the area, steering the hurricane. You can steer a hurricane. They used to have oil slicks. They used to go through extensive like shit to do this. They would spray oil out and oil slicks on the surface of the water out in front of hurricanes with spray planes and choke the storm out to move it. So it's a simple way to choke a storm and steer it. And it's called oil slicks. And I forget what they use for it, but that was a common steering method for storms. And all they do is they choke that shit out. And now everything's done via electrostatics and pressure mediation. So they can literally have storms before storms, following up on storms. It's like, which one is the one doing what they want it to do? The storm before 9/11. And we've talked about that before, right? There was a storm off the coast before 9/11. Topher talked about this.
Hey, Moy, freestyle life. You're muted. If you
what's going on?
How you
I'm
doing,
here.
man?
Good, man. No complaints. How you guys doing?
Chilling. How about you?
What's up, man?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Nice. So, thoughts on the hurricane?
Well, the thoughts on the hurricane, I had a question, but also it was a little bit of both of what the gentleman was just now talking about. I've been into the whole weather modification thing for a while and these different towers going up. But I don't know. My question was because I saw your long time ago, or it seems like a long time ago, you guys did a show on Atlantis in Florida. And I was wondering if you guys ever thought that these storms were caused by, I don't know, there's some people that say that there's like that Bermuda Triangle is like leftover of Atlantis. So I was just wondering what your guys' take was on that.
Well, 100%. And this gentleman here, his name is Spencer from Florida. He is a, part-time a card holder of the almighty N-word, believe it or not.
Oh my!
I don't know if you caught that part earlier in the show.
Oh my god!
He had to slip up. But this gentleman was Spencer from Florida. He does a lot of stuff on TikTok and elsewhere, and he's behind, what is it, Florida Freeze Dried too. So this is Spencer here.
Hey,
this
guys.
is Moy Freestyle Life. He called in a couple days ago, I think, like a week ago or so. And but yeah, hurricanes. Oh, here the background went off on this.
Dude, I really, let's think about that Bermuda Triangle. Let's think about the power of those ley lines in the steering of these storms. I think just as airships of the old world used to utilize the paths, the electrostatics of our as above, so below, our ionospheric flower of life paths, if you will. I think we've got some stuff down below as well that they utilize. I think they utilize the electrostatics for the storm paths as well, 100%. Or I think they're directly affected by our natural field theory, like a Ken Wheeler looking down. If you look down at the ferrocell magnetic field, like you're looking down over a flat Earth, I do think hurricanes move along the energetic ley line points. So yeah, and that shit runs right through Florida. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Imagine it's the Wi-Fi of the old world. It's the fiber of the whole world. How we're all connected is the freaking ley lines. That's our fiber optics. That's our wiring, man.
Do you guys ever think that? Oh, my bad.
No, you're good, man. What's up?
No, do you ever think that? I mean, it's a little side topic, but I've heard this theory, and it's something that I always think about. That, like, because I don't know, I always see these storms coming up around times where there's a lot of like human BS, and I don't know, is like maybe the weather is a form of our subconscious, and like a lot of
Oh, yeah.
times like humanity has a lot of like shadow work and stuff it doesn't do, and then it's like maybe that manifests in the weather, like maybe we have a
Oh,
lot more
totally.
power than we think.
Totally. Well, why does Haiti keep getting hit with, I hate to pick on Haiti, but why do they keep getting hit with a specific type of natural disaster?
Karma.
Is it, you want to just blame it on the New World Order? Maybe, but I think it
Well,
has
when,
a lot to do with
when
like voodoo and black magic, and
yeah, that's what I was going to
like
say.
you're
When
saying.
they got hit the last time, a lot of people on the other side of the island, a lot of Dominicans, we're saying that this happened because they were practicing too much voodoo.
Oh, good point. Because the Dominican Republic rarely gets as many bad disasters as Haiti does, even though they share
Yeah,
an island with them.
we get it. Like we have the hurricane season, same like Florida, right? But we, for whatever reason, and people down there have talked about it, like it always ends up either being worse in Haiti or just Haiti gets them at random times where we don't even have them, and it's like, oh, just Haiti got hit, but DR was fine, and it's like literally the same island. It's Hispaniola, so it's very. I mean, that's weird. That really doesn't happen.
Well, I
Yes.
think Haiti is on a main ley line too, now that you mention it. And that means your spiritual connectivity is a lot greater. Everything is amplified in these locations, vortexes and ley lines, for good or evil. That 5G millimeter wave can shrink a tumor, exacerbate one. Spiritual warfare is similar, especially amplified on these ley lines. And Haiti has a huge karmic debt, in my opinion. Kind of like what you're saying. So yeah.
Yeah. But it's also, it's not just, we shouldn't just pick on Haiti because
Yeah.
it's also Jekyll Island. Jekyll Island, is almost never sunny there. Florida's a sunshine state. Georgia has a lot of sun too.
Yeah.
But this one place, for some reason, whether it's the wind or the water, the ocean currents, it's always mostly cloudy at Jekyll Island. Cloudy's infamous for muggy weather, for almost like Britain, just kind of wet, humid, and gray. Every time I've been there, it's been like that. Cloudy, overcast, some version of gray. And when I went to Ormond Beach, which was kind of like the part 2 of the Jekyll Island story,
Yep.
Ormond Beach is where Rockefeller went to retire after Jekyll Island. The Federal Reserve move. The Federal Reserve happened 1913, and then he makes the full switch to Ormond Beach 1914. So Ormond Beach, when I went over to Ormond Beach, and on screen here we've got a lot of we've got some of the things that, the hurricane aftermath here. A lot of some foolish behavior too, but the same is true for Ormond Beach. Ormond Beach had this. Ormond Beach is usually very nice, usually beautiful. But when I went there to investigate the whole Rockefeller blood magic connection, I had never seen fog like that in Florida.
Oh,
Ever,
yeah.
ever.
You had
It
the
was-
videos.
Yeah, I was moving at like 30 miles an hour.
That bridge video you showed me was wild of that fog.
It was
Yeah,
the
but
thickest. Go ahead.
couldn't that be the United States in general? Because I mean, I don't keep up with as much global news probably as I should, or I mean, I don't really watch the news in general. But I mean, like, wouldn't you say
The
that the
news
United
watches you.
States? What happened? Yeah, the
The
news
news-
watches me.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that in general the United States has crazy ass storm every year at least? Like we got bad juju?
Yeah, but we also have so much surface area. Like, they're bound to land here or Africa, and they usually start at Africa and end over here. This one's unique because I think it kind of got generated in the Gulf of Mexico.
But that
could be
happens
r-
with all of them. Almost every year you have one.
It's not generated in the Gulf of Mexico. It's way farther down.
Yeah,
Where
it's
did
way
it start
farther
out?
down, but usually it's in the middle of Atlantic and it always goes to the Caribbean and Florida.
They're coming from HAARP locations, guys. They're enhanced and generated from those locations. Watch the paths. If you don't
So
want
wait,
to
is there one of those locations in the middle of the Atlantic?
right on the other side of it on the islands, yeah. Right where they come from every time. Look it up. HAARP. Centers right on the other side. Way off the coast, sticking out in the ocean.
So is HARP, are they using I mean I'm under my research, they're using technology, but are they also using magical systems, or it's just technology?
No, this
Well,
is
harp. Yes, it is magical. What is
Call
the
it-
devil?
what's
What
the
is?
difference?
Hang on. What
the difference
does
between
the
praying
devil
and
play?
music.
The angel of music, the
Light.
harp, angels with the harp, the lyre. Lucifer is the lyre in terms of the constellations.
So
Venus.
you got to talk about music like the music industry, like all that BS, like the negative vibrations of that, or you just mean like frequencies?
Everything is energy,
Oh, I
frequency,
don't
and
know.
vibration. So sound can be nothing more than a light wave in the ether. Nikola Tesla. So Longo's relating it to sound. And so
Harp. Well, harp is an instrument. Think about
Boom.
the name
Boom.
they chose. Just like Noah, Noaa. Well, Noah is
Bingo.
presiding over this weather, monitoring stuff. But Noah goes back to Noah's flood. It's like the pride with the pride flag. They take a biblical figure and kind of bastardize it
yeah.
into a brand name or a new
You think they're in cahoots with the music
legislation.
industry?
Sorry?
No,
You think
not harp. They're not in with the music industry. No, it's a completely different mechanism of action.
No, hang on, Spencer. There is something there to that, because what are we talking about at the end of the day? It's frequency, and
Because you guys are talking about
can.
music and frequencies, and I'm just trying to connect the dots, and all this stuff is happening with Diddy. So
Yes.
I don't know.
All right. So it's all the same thing. Everything is energy, frequency, and vibration, capacitance and wavelength. So A4, we've gone over this. Have you ever heard of the A440 conspiracy, the Nazi infiltration of the music industry?
Whoa. Let's take it easy on him, Spence. Okay.
I
We
have
don't
heard
know-
of this. No,
we don't know
no,
who-
you don't got to take it easy on me. I'm good.
No,
If you-
not you.
If you walk up to a piano and you hit the A key, ding, the A key, okay?
yeah.
Is that bitch at A444, A440, or A432 hertz?
Well, the piano, the keys of the piano were changed. The piano is not what it should be.
All of our instruments are engineered. When
Well,
I say
yes, in
they are
general.
physically built to resonate the best themselves with A at 440. I'm not saying you can't tune it to something better and still have a badass tune. I'm not saying you can't utilize A at 440 hertz instruments and play beautiful music if you know how to add harmonies and orchestrate and stuff like that. But generally speaking, the human body is designed to resonate with A at 432 much better than A at 440. And even A at
Facts.
444, if I hit that A key and that's A at 444, that puts the C at 528, which is the love frequency. Everyone loves that, you know, Leonard Horowitz type talk, but it's all
So,
frequency. So
hey,
yeah,
what's the Illuminati's favorite key?
the Illuminati's favorite.
A
No,
minor.
yeah, bingo. There you go. There you go. You got it.
He got it.
They
Yo,
play.
but the thing is, what I was saying specifically about the piano is either a key was taken out or added because it didn't match to what you were saying.
Well, there wasn't always eight. No.
Well,
So
here,
you have
it's
the same
12
piano, not 88 keys, but you have the same piano. It is just engineered, and when you hit that A key, it is going to be not going to be at 440 hertz. When you hit it and you tune the piano to be the way it's engineered to resonate its best, that A at 440 is going to be resonating at 444 or 432. That's the way they used to. That's why classical music usually heals plants.
So here,
Facts.
let's
Because classical's still at 142, right?
It was
432,
at a
yeah.
it was at a
I
different
mean
tune.
132.
Even more vinyl versus digital. You got to remember analog, digital, vinyl. Vinyl, you've got a damn little crystal going like this and a micronized track being projected out of projector.
Yeah.
So I mean,
let me get this out. They didn't take a key out. What happened is, music is relative. It's like a framework. So you can take A, but A doesn't have an objective pitch. But A does have an objective, what would be the word? Distance between it and the next note over. So when you're using letters, you're just measuring the distance between notes. And there's always 12 notes, right? No matter what system you're using, it's 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 notes, 12. So you can't really mess with that. Right. What they messed with was they took A, and when A is lined up with what can you compare it to? It's almost like a lock. Like when the dial is lined up, all the hands on the clock will kind of be aiming at a number, a whole number, instead of kind of
slightly off
in between.
Well,
yeah, that's what I mean.
There's no
it's slightly
decimal.
off.
Yeah, so they kind of split a decimal in terms of it's 440 instead of 432. But when A's at 432, all the other significant numbers on the notes are whole numbers. They're whole numbers,
Right.
and they're fractal, and they all add up to 3s and 6s, and
they
and
because they
9s
needed
for the
it.
most part.
They still needed it to match that. Let's say numerical. It needs to have a numerical perfection, even though they tweaked it.
It's also a little high. And when you turn it's a little higher pitched, very, very slightly higher pitched than regular, meaning it's going to give a little bit more anxiety. When you hear like a tea kettle going up and up and up in pitch, you're increasing the anxiety a little bit. It can be good tension, like a guitar solo goes up high and, you really lean in to listen. But with the subtle kind of psychological manipulation with that this is what they actually do to certain historical figures, like a leader of Germany who, is portrayed very poorly in the media for whatever reasons. What they'll do is they'll turn his voice up very high. So he's instead of how he really sounds, which was it sounds more naggy, more complaining, more nasally, more. And certain pop songs, they'll raise, the pitch. They'll lower it to lower the energy and speed it up, and thereby raise the pitch. So you can tweak with stuff like that, and it will subtly affect people's moods and state of mind.
You can take one of these songs and you can put it through a generator, or you can even just do it yourself if you have Ableton or something like that. but you could change it to 432, even an annoying song. Like, I don't know, I don't even listen to, but whatever, let's say
Yeah.
Ice Spice or whatever this ratchet stuff is now. And you could change it to that frequency, and even though it'll still be ratchet, technically it'll be a less ratchet frequency.
Yes, and also, there's people have a habit of, it's like a popular subgenre, or just any genre, is slowed down music with added reverb. That's a popular thing to do to songs. What that's
Oh
doing
yeah,
is it's
Cops
taking,
and Screwed, right?
well, it's more about slowed
Baby boo boo gaga
slowed
baby.
and added reverb. It soothes a song more, and when it slows down the song, you're in more of a soothed, relaxed state. It's a popular song, and you're hearing it a little slower than you normally do. What that's actually doing is it's mimicking the 432 effect. Because when you take a 440 song and recreate it 432, you're ultimately slowing it
Yeah,
down
you got to slow it
a
down either way.
tiny bit, and the pitch is going to get lowered a tiny bit too. And that's what a lot of
Mhm.
people do to modify songs to make them more relaxing, is slow them down. But
You think
that's what
that
we
has
all
a
got to
more
do.
sedating effect?
You
Oh,
require more energy when the music is slightly off. There's less resonance. That's natural. That's free energy, guys. When you're resonating, you don't require as much damn food. When you're trickle charging feet on the earth, resonating in all the divine frequencies, when you're off from them, offset from them, now your vibration is lower. Imagine your biofield is this big when you've got all these harmonies going on and you're in harmony with nature, and then all of a sudden you step into A at 440, and now you got a biofield this big, and you require more freaking energy. Your resonance is off. It sucks. It's almost like having a little bit of static in the background, a little bit of, and you don't even know it's there.
say Moy freestyle life. Got to let you go, man. Got to bring the next caller in. Appreciate
Awesome,
you calling
man.
in.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Peace,
You
bro.
have a good night, dude. Call in soon. Adios. Rye guy. Oh shit, we got a little bit of a loop again. I'm gonna bring Keith in because we haven't had Keith on yet. What's up, Keith? How you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey,
Chilling. How
Same,
you doing?
same.
Where are you calling out of tonight?
I'm in Celebration, Florida.
Oh, shell yeah. How did you
Yeah.
fare through the storm?
Oh, no big deal. Just some wind and, normal amount of rain. Nothing
Nice.
like Ian. Ian was pretty wild. I mean, the whole house was shaking.
Right.
I pulled a lot of data cable in Celebration High School last year.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I've been here 4 years. It's
Nice.
interesting. It's different. It's pretty cool.
Where'd you come from?
Philly, actually. So I caught the whole Philly conversation. So,
Oh shit! Oh
well,
shit!
Philly and then Baltimore. So I downgraded and now I upgraded. 2019, I moved down here. I think late 2019, about August.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Glad to have
it's
you.
been good.
Get to them springs north of you, man. That King's Landing area and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've been up to Wekiva, did some paddle boarding there. It was nice.
Dude, keep doing it, man. You got to get out of Celebration and get those beautiful springs right north of you, man. Those are like, you got some gems right above you, bro.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's on the list.
So, hey, Keith, what can we
Yeah.
do for you tonight? Thoughts on the hurricane? What's on your mind, man?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it would probably be manipulated. I mean, those Doppler pulses are definitely something going on there.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure they've been doing HARP for a long time. I mean, we know all kinds of different weather modifications that they've admitted to. Like, I know, like, think about Vietnam. I always think of Vietnam as like a giant, like, experimental testing ground for all kinds of stuff.
Operation Popeye.
Yeah, Popeye, that's one of them. Mm-hmm.
You got to
Yeah.
flood out. You got to flood out the guerrillas.
Drop it.
They're in their bunkers. We got to flood them out. Get them out of there.
Right.
Dead all of their little tunnels.
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think? Category 4 or were they just blowing it out of proportion? Because it certainly went back to a tropical depression very quickly.
Yeah, I
think
mean, always blow all that stuff out of proportion, you know.
Were
Just something to get everyone hyped up on.
were those stores getting hit hard? Grocery stores? where
Here,
you are?
no, not at all.
Nice.
No,
Well,
I mean,
that's good.
yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of videos and everything. Like Treasure Island got hit hard. Saw, you know, people got boats like up in front of their mansions and stuff, and then I saw a guy had a Tesla in the garage and it lit the whole thing on fire, and the whole it's just like a husk now. Pretty big
Oh,
house. Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, they got hit pretty hard. But I guess Tampa, like that with the hospital, they had the aqua fence
Yeah,
that seemed
dude.
to work out pretty good. That's pretty
It
cool.
worked. That bitch is bad, dude. I want one of those. I want to build one.
Yeah,
Save some kids, maybe.
yeah. But what's up with the was it the princess the hurricanes? You know, the Indian what's that? Remember they had the statue? They took down the statue because she has like a protection on Tampa Bay from
Yeah.
hurricanes, I guess.
Watch his episode. It's a
You're
good
right.
movie.
Yeah, no, I have. Yeah, it's been a while. I've seen most all the stuff.
That was a good one.
That one
Yeah,
was
that
a-
was a good one.
that one
Yeah,
was
the
a-
Giants one was good too. That yeah, I just watched that. What was it last night?
Yeah.
Yeah, Giants one was really good.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, it's always a tough topic to get out without being censored too hard. It's probably one of the top no topics for the internet is real evidence of giant humans in the United States and thereby Florida.
Yeah, that's where Ben actually gets shadow banned.
Does he?
I think he gets throttled. It appeared that way on X a little bit to me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely put out a lot of good, solid, irrefutable evidence. I mean, all the art news articles from the 20s and teens, and the Smithsonian stuff too. I mean,
Yep.
the Smithsonian is just, you know, it's establishment stuff, so it's just sketchy. It's probably just, you know, was started as a cover-up operation, kind of go in and we're like, oh well, we're going to investigate that, and then just pull all the evidence and then hide it.
Yeah, I mean, they created the authority for all American archaeology and all, digs, anthropology, all the narratives for how the American, continents were peopled. They created the authority, and then they kind of created this vacuum where, oh well, if you found something in Florida, well, great, but it's not going to be internationally recognized until you hand it over to the Smithsonian, because nobody other than them is qualified to make those, authoritative decisions, or that, call to say, oh, yep, this is 8,000 years old or 2,000, and the state geologists back before the mainstream was the mainstream. They were still trying to establish the mainstream or wrestle for control over it. The state geologists of Florida were openly disagreeing with the Smithsonian. And the Vero man is one of the most significant findings in all of American history. It's Vero man, but it was probably a man and a woman and a couple other people found in Vero Beach, Florida, or near Vero. And that was dated by the state geologist of Florida to around 100,000 years, if not more, 150,000. And the Smithsonian at that time, were dead set on it, everything in the Americas being restricted to 6,000 years old. No. Only 6,000 years ago did the Native Americans show up. That's what the Smithsonian's always been saying. Until recently, they really had to get pushed back to the 15,000 year timeline, mostly by findings in Florida. Because if they made it to Florida before the Bering Strait theory even started, clearly, they came from somewhere else. So the Smithsonian's own concessions in some of those debates kind of exposed their whole agenda with the giant theory. At the very least, they needed to validate their own narrative of how America was populated in a race of giants who have European and or Eurasian, DNA from across the Atlantic do not fit in their timeline. So, but they show their hand, and Florida was really the big battleground for all that Smithsonian gaslighting and debunking, and yeah, Keith K, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think anything that challenges the official narrative is going to get squashed pretty quick. I mean, that goes for anything anymore, but especially historical things like that too. Real quick, I haven't heard any discussion on it, but what do you think about dinosaurs in that regard?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Dinosaurs.
I watched the dinosaurs are fake videos, just like a lot of other people.
Eric Dubé.
I tend to agree with most of that. I agree with most of the anti-dinosaur positions.
What about dragons? You think
Dragons
they're
are
alligators?
just alligators. Clearly, I can conclusively prove that to anybody.
Another good video drop.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's a good one. Really good connections there.
Then, all right, Chinese zodiac. What was did you have an explanation in that video on that?
Well, those go hand in hand. The Chinese in China, where the long, the dragon that drags on the ground, that dragon in China, where they actually kind of came up with it. They don't think that's a mythical animal. They know that comes from their alligator. It's a small, kind of snub-nosed alligator. It's the only other place in the world that there are alligators. Other places have crocodiles, caimans. What do they call them? Galadriels. Is that an elf from Lord of the Rings, or is that the name Galadriel? Something like that. Galadriel. The skinny snouted crocodilians.
I know it's when you're talking about.
In China, they have the only other population of alligators in the world.
Right.
So think about that. It's kind of like a Noah's Ark evidence too, somewhat. What the hell's an alligator doing over there? But they've got them in China. They're small. They're very endangered, kind of like the panda. In fact, if I was going to argue against this, I would come at it from the panda angle and say, well, hang on, how do we know China's not just like farming their own pygmy alligators and then kind of trying to fulfill that dragon slot?
It's funny you say that. When I was a kid, a field trip, we saw an albino Chinese alligator in a pen, and I remember it like vividly. It said Chinese alligator, and one of them was albino. It's ironic you say that.
So the alligators in China, I shouldn't say that. That's a very niche conspiracy theory. But in general, the Chinese know that they've always had alligators and that the dragon is an alligator. So all the lungs, all the Chinese dragons, the slithery little ones, even if they have antlers or wings, I've got news for people out there. Pretty much every culture ever has slapped wings or antlers on to most animals.
I've got a jackalope in my garage.
Jackalope, exactly.
Jackalope.
Case in point. You've got, just because dragons have tiny little wings that are smaller than their feet, in the case of the Chinese dragons, and whiskers and antlers, these are embellishments.
Well, mud puppies have those little wings and they drag on the ground too. They have whiskers and they have the little arms. You ever seen that?
They call me Dr. Longo for a reason, okay? That actually, the double meaning behind there is Dr. Dragon. I'm the dragon, okay? The Gator King, the Lizard King. Dr. Lungo. Yeah, you're right. But dragons are alligators. Sorry. The Welsh dragon, not a dragon. That's a griffin. That's more of a rooster, eagle-like animal, more of an astrological composite creature. So dragons are alligators. The only creature that's ever wandered into a European town, European city, snatched a woman up, taken her back to its lair, breathed fire, smoke, steam, bellowed, had a lair, swallowed gold, cut the gold out of its stomach after you slay it, saved the town. You know how many cities in Europe have crocodiles hanging in their, city halls and public spaces that were once killed in medieval years, or the Renaissance?
No.
This is a real life thing.
Oh, so you really think there was like crocodiles and moats around castles and shit?
There was, we know that, especially in Italy and the south of France, and anything that's up against the Mediterranean. You had a stray crocodile every once in a while. Every city in Italy, on the coast of Italy, has had some encounter with a crocodile at some point. Morocco, Spain, Portugal, there's crocodiles that live in Morocco, that did live in Morocco. They might still, and they would cross over into Europe all the time. And when they would show up, some of these things are 20 feet long, armor plated. You can't kill it with a sword. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It takes a whole lot to get the job done, and that's where you get these big heroes. And St. George, the dragon slayer, was a Roman soldier, I believe, who was in North Africa. I could be wrong on that, but of course it was a Nile crocodile or something else. It was a big man-eating reptile. Well, how many more of those can you name? Can Komodo dragons are scary, but can they fit a whole human in their mouth?
Nah.
Do they breathe fire? No.
Mm.
Alligators breathe fire. They don't shoot flames out of their mouth, not that I've seen. But when they bellow, which means to flame a fire, which is what we call their noises, when they bellow, they can create steam. They can almost boil the water on top of them. It's a cymatic response in the water. They hum, and it's like a subwoofer going off in the water. And if you catch that right, in the right temperature, the water starts steaming, and their smoke starts coming out of their mouth. It's remarkable. It's all in the video. The noises they make.
I'll tell you where to see that the best. So a lot of pro bass, like I did Tampa pro bass tournaments one summer on Lake Kissimmee by the Sawgrass. If you ever go off Lake Toho or Kissimmee, the gators on Lake Kissimmee are Jurassic Park level size out there. And in the morning is when you launch and you go out for your tournament, right? Bright and early, right? Before the sun even comes up. You see those bellows in those tournaments on Lake Kissimmee, they're freaking dinosaurs, guys. Everything he just said, I've seen in person. 13, 14-foot gators everywhere just doing that. It rattles the whole place. It's wild.
Yep. You'll notice that St. George, the most famous dragon slayer, by the way, Georgia sits right on top of Florida. King George or St. George? You tell me. And Georgia, St. George is the patron saint of a couple countries, but he's the dragon slayer. Now, the dragon that St. George is always slaying, yes, it has had wings added to it by later superstitious painters. And remember, the real dragon is like the lung. Drag along the ground. The griffin is like a lion mixed with a eagle and a horse and a little bit of a snake.
The UN statue in New York City has it perfectly.
I can prove it to you. The Welsh dragon is not what you'd consider a historical dragon that European cities were actually worried of. every loser out there obsessed with their child, fairy
Pete's Dragon.
tales needs to have their, 10,000-pound heavy metal flying dragon. Okay,
Sword in the
yeah.
Stone, Sleeping
Sorry.
Beauty.
Sorry, that's probably pure fantasy. Nobody's ever seen that. And when we look at the historical depictions, the true depictions, he's always trampling a dragon. So yes, it sometimes has wings, but just like a unicorn gets added a horn or a Pegasus gets added wings, doesn't mean these things happened.
We have that
Like
famous
that.
video that you have on your thing where the horse tramples the gator in that little clip too.
And remember, these are people who didn't have a museum or a zoo or National Geographic. If you saw it once, it was scary, you didn't get a great look at it, you ran away. When you're recounting these stories, they don't have these they don't have a general consensus of what an alligator or crocodile looks like. It's just the shocking impression it leaves on a city when it terrorizes them. And when they're stuffed, they don't look all that realistic either. So even though they might have the body of a dead crocodile, they'll stuff it, and when the people look at it, it's still not an accurate depiction. It's still a little funky looking. So that right there, we'll find some more good ones. Some of these look just like alligators, and you'll notice that they're always crawling along the ground. Look at that. No wings. No wings or not flying. So, also alligators have layers. Alligators make burrows and big caves, and alligators are architects and terraformers. You guys know this? Alligators shape the Everglades. Alligators are like beavers with their tail. They shape a whole area to their liking. But yeah. Alligators are dragons.
They're dragging their nuts around the ground everywhere.
Pretty much. There's a lot more to it too. Got a whole video on it, but
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
sweet.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a lot of historical things like that. It's kind of like Whisper Down the Lane, where things get changed and embellished. So it seems fanciful, but it's actually got a basis in reality.
100%.
And then, I mean, I actually went to Temple University for history, and so I'm a pretty decent history buffs, but mostly like modern history. But anything past like what we can have passed down generationally, kind of like firsthand account stuff, kind of gets murky, I mean, what his story, right? I mean, or the Victor gets to write this history, so
Yeah.
it's hard to really say what's concrete.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to that swimming hole I was talking about behind Temple in the woods? Devil's something?
No, yeah, I didn't personally. I knew a lot of people who did.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
I dropped the cell phone to the bottom of that bitch, and I freaked out a bunch of northerners because I literally swam down like 80 feet to get it, and it still worked just fine. It was like some Motorola that said "Hello Moto," and everyone could not believe it. A bunch of strangers, but it was an awesome experience.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
y'all. Hurricane Helene. We're going to bring some more updates in the next days here. Go over the damage and watch all the videos and stuff. But Spence, appreciate you hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah, man.
Just talking.
Here electrocuting myself as you speak.
He's got it clamped to his nipples under the shirt.
Yep. Take it easy on the Simeon machine, Spence. Okay. don't want you getting freeze dried over there.
I gotta get some lady down the road's got some of that raw milk whey protein. I got a package after this still.
Nice. Keith K, appreciate you calling in, man. You have a good night.
Yeah, thank you guys. Take care.
Keith, see you, bro.
Yeah.
Adios, KK. Peace. KGC
AGC.
agent. KGC agent confirmed.
Agent.
He's in the KC in the Sunshine Band, 100%.
Agent confirmed.
So Spence is electrocuting himself in the
I'm
name of science, in the name of stimulation, and
He's getting morning wood again.
so yeah, that's it for tonight, y'all. 3 hours in, 3:16, John 16. Peace. Now we're at 3:17. St. Patrick's Day.
All right, it's
But-
been a while. Good night. I love you all. Thanks, Longo, for having me on.
Appreciate everyone.
Lot of modifications, guys. Just go look at the next rad towers. Go to Microsite 2.0. Microsite. Look that up on. Guys got some good stuff on Instagram and TikTok. He was pretty good. He's a dick when you talk flat earth stuff, but he's got good videos on the next rad towers and the modification of the electrostatics of steering storms and stuff.
Here we've got some promotional things here too.
Moringa Man.
Moringa. Yeah.
Oh.
Say something. Talk to the people before.
Oh, I'm gonna put the agricultural lean back in the chat. Can y'all copy that?
Yes, I'll throw it in the chat. Here, the Moringa Man. Guys, if you're still here, you'd like to support the channel, here's a couple ways you can do so. Right? We run into a little bit of trouble talking about some of these topics, and YouTube demonetizes a lot of my stuff left and right. This will counteract that. This will help us out. If you'd like to support, there's a couple of ways you can do so. One of the ways you can do so, you can go to themoringaman.com. You can buy some moringa. What's moringa? It's a superfood. It's made from a leaf from the moringa tree. It's one ingredient, just shredded up leaf. That's it. Really, really good for you. It's one of the most nutrient-dense foods in the world. It's been called the solution to world hunger. 7 times the vitamin C in oranges, etc., etc. 4 times the calcium than milk. 2 times the protein than milk. Very, very good for you. You put it in water, a little bit of lemon. Very good.
Moringa Man, I hope your trees are good, bro. 2 of my moringa trees snapped yesterday. It's sad. Makes me sad. Ate it all morning though.
So you can go to moringaman.com, themoringaman.com, and use the code Old World Florida.
Old World Florida.
Use the code Old World Florida for 15% off. That's a whole 15% off. Very good. Very good for you. You need some of this. It's a health food must. All my healthy friends are on the moringa train. So what else we got here? You can go to sipblue.com. You can get some Sip Blue. This is another product. It's a single ingredient. Butterfly pea flower tea. I don't recommend any garbage that's not pure. Very, very good for you and not complicated. This is not complicated. Sip Blue, use the code OWF. So just OWF abbreviated. That's sipblue.com. Use the code OWF at sipblue.com. Got Sip Blue. There might be some Shilajit on there too. Yep, Shilajit. Algae of Life got on there too. We sell this in the store. We sell them both in the store. Both these companies are Florida. Florida companies. My friends run them. Both on the West Coast. The Moringa Man comes out of thanks, Spence. The Moringa Man comes out of Dunedin. Sip Blue comes out of St. Petersburg. And yeah, this stuff's really good for you. Single ingredient on the Sip Blue. Shilajit, that is like the ooze of the mountainside. It's like rock oil. And then Algae of Life, I'll have to get educated on that one. But very good for you. Michael's a friend out of St. Pete. He hosted one of our meetups, so shout out to him. And that's another way you can support the channel. Use the code OWF. What else can you do? You can go to patreon.com/oldworldflorida. Easy peasy. patreon.com/oldworldflorida. Throw that in the chat too. www.patreon.com/oldworldflorida. So you can go to our Patreon, and I would recommend our hats, but we're pretty much sold out of the hats. So we've only got a handful left. I don't want us to get ahead of ourselves with the orders, so we're holding off on the hats for now. Maybe you can grab the last couple if you want to move quick, but we're not recommending them or pushing them till we get a whole shipment more. We're going to have to probably double this amount. But yeah, that's it. So what else is there? You can go to the Dancing Elephant if you want. You can get a copy of the Monad. The Dancing Elephant. DancingElephant.shop. That's where we're at right now. DancingElephant.shop. You can get books, crystals. This is where I'm at right now. Come check us out. Books, crystals. Oh, look at that. An alligator.
Ooh.
Under the North Pole. Ooh, look at all these. So yeah, that's another way you can support. This actually has a code here too. Use the code also OWF at DancingElephant.shop. That's a good way to support the channel too. And you can come in and check out the Dancing Elephant. I'm here at work a lot of the time. And that's it. Spence, final thoughts?
Can anybody guess what this tool is for this container? Anybody guesses it right gets a free package. And I mean, guess. If you know, you know. It's not
What is
fair.
it?
All right. Give me 4 answers. It's not my Manscaper. There's one.
It's a Turkish hair growing tool.
Nope.
Ooh.
2 down. What you freeze drying?
What is it? It's a saw torture device. It's a kink tool.
Picking up Legos. Now we're getting somewhere. All right. So there's this little see this bridge right here? This little bridge right here, guys. I will pour fresh blueberries in a tray and roll this across all the blueberries, and it will poke each one of them, and the blueberries will catch and fall right back down, and it pokes a perfect hole in every blueberry. And so now when you freeze dry all the blueberries, they don't explode. They all just kept exploding, and it makes a big old freeze-dried mess. But if you use this random tool, I tried to use a massage one. It didn't work. This thing is freaking creepy. It's expensive as shit, but it works. I knew it was for picking something up. Yeah, you were close. Blueberries. Poking berries for freeze drying.
Yeah.
That was it.
All right, man.
See you, bro. Good time.
You have a good night, Spence.
All right, good
Glad
night,
you
man.
made it out safe.
Yeah, I wish you were on the patio in your chair during the storm. Would have been fun to watch.
Oh, maybe.
In the
Next
lounge
one.
chair.
Next one. I got my own house to worry about now.
Yeah, that's right. You still enjoying it?
Oh yeah,
Cozy. It looks cozy as shit.
it's very nice.
Were you picky? Were you picky about the energy or no?
Well, yeah, we waited a year for that location. Just
Attaboy.
floated around in the van, getting
Had a feeling.
kept having the dates pushed back on us, but we ended up moving in. So
Dude,
it's right by the
for you.
store.
Happy for you. Enjoy it, man.
Appreciate it. Fuck.
See crazy goobers and crackers in the chat. Looks like a young, healthy Freddy Krueger. Yeah,
keep,
that's right.
keep, I keep dropping my Illuminati shekels over here.
I get nervous when I can't see Shem, by the way. I always wonder what he's doing. You never know what he's doing back there.
True. All right. Everyone have a good night. Peace. Adios. Good night.